this.
So it does seem that Ethereal win the coin toss. They're going to be getting the first pick and the first ban. Always an interesting predicament that it puts you in because you have so many different S-tier heroes to choose from. What do you value as being the one to take away? We've actually seen D.Va, I think, on this map banned away as well. So D.Va just finding a lot of love across all platforms. I mean, she fits the bill, right? She's a bruiser. She's a sustain. And if you're going to be fighting on a sort of a focal objective, that self-destruct can obviously give you that zoning potential. Not to mention the boss. We love the boss pits. No. We love the throw pits. So we've seen time and time again, not only exclusive for Tomb of the Spider Queen, it can happen here as well. But Anubrak is the first ban.
And followed by that Dahaka ban. So that really leaves, if Ethereal would like to pick up that Falstad with no contestation, and then it will really, unless a Brightwing or even that ETC, we did also see Sashina a few nights ago bring back ETC on Warhead to show us that he actually can build into having a global if you opt in for stage dive.
So which direction do they go with to open things up here? They still have the Genji, they've got the Uther, they've got the Greymane. Couple of different variations on how they can start things off here, or even potentially the D.Va as a first pick, but that would surprise me a fair chunk.
As strong as D.Va is, if you are going to pick her this early on, then you need to have the full team structure already in mind. So D.Va, she can fall into the trap of being quite a weak hero, weak tank on her own, because she can get blown up quite easily. It's just the long fights that she can excel in because she gets 2 lives essentially. But Falstad has been picked up by Ethereal, so I like that. Nice strong opening. Doesn't give too much else about the draft. Mighty Gust as well can be such a good controlling factor. So similar to how Dahaka works, you get a lot of control in your favor from one hero.
So it shows us that they really do value that global pressure, given that Dahaka's been taken off the board. And as you already mentioned, with the Gust in play, it's there to sort of prevent the opposing team, be it NMD on the right-hand side, from going a dive-heavy comp. So they are going to lock in the Genji. They've got the Uther potential then to go for Greymane later down in this draft. But if that fails, they can get some good value from the Gust. That really puts that comp in its place.
It really can. If you say a scenario where the Dragon Blade comes out and instantly buffeted away by the Mighty Gust, D.Va as well, loving this, can really hurt what they're trying to do with this dive comp. Already, it's quite anti-dive.
2 big responses to this dive comp already, saying, look, if that's the direction you want to go, you're going to really make some good decision-making as to how do you operate and how do you play around it, right? So we've seen also in this map in particular with the pseudo-ultimate from the Hunt on Illidan making a little bit of a return, so he can get that split push on. Almost, I'd argue, he was kind of like pre-nerf stage dive when he would split push with the Echo Pedal, and he'd be such a nuance. This was obviously a few patches ago, at least 6 months back in the day. Don't really see it as much anymore, but still, there is the potential. ETC is going to be locked in, though, Vandy. Now, the mosh pit is a potential, but hey, stage dive is all up for the taking.
It's on the table for sure. Mosh pit, stage. They're going full control. So already we can start to see with Ethereal exactly what they've got in their mind. That D.Va, that ETC, setting up for some big wombos. But if they'd like as well, they could just split for days. Falstad, such a good wave clear on his kit as well. So push, then fly in for a nice gank, and they can just control by never having to fight 5v5 if they choose.
So that's interesting. They actually decide to ban out the Orioles. So I suppose they're predicting that the Gul'dan was going to be locked in as the final pick, which once again is another really good response to the dive, especially if, say, Greymane jumps in, Horrify comes out. See you later. Have a fantastic day dealing with that. But the Oriole would be the fantastic battery fit, giving a lot of sustain to the already 3 locked-in members of Ethereal. If you're on the side of Ethereal right now, though, if you're thinking what component do we need to take away, I mean, Greymane still stands out for me, but I'm thinking Abathur merely because of the fact that they have potentially 2 globals, and that really amplifies what an Illidan can do.
Correct. I'm thinking an Abathur or even Ethereal, a Sanct, could be quite detrimental to what they're trying to achieve. If, say, Genji goes in, the Sanctification will provide a nice ground for that Dragon Blade, but I'm really worried about the Gust. I'm thinking they need to be strategic about how they pop their heroics, because we could see a lot of them being burnt for no reason, just through one being. But it's all that cat and mouse sort of game, and also the mind games going on. But I do like the Abathur ban as well. 2 Genjis, I've dealt with that. I'm sure you have too. It's just no fun.
It really isn't. I say it's just that hybrid of double resets. Not to mention, you could always go Genji and Li Ming, and those 2 just pop off together. And as soon as you get that 1 kill, then it just goes absolutely spiraling out of control. They do lock in the Vala and the Tessadar, so the sweaty trinity, if you will, between Nat and Uther, allowing that Vala player to get insane amounts of value. But depending on how they decide to actually engage this, I would not be surprised, Vanny, for a last pick Tyrael People always are a little bit questionable about Ethereal on his own, but if you're going for a dive-heavy comp like this, it definitely works, given you have the mobility to then bolster up what's already on that roster. And yeah, depending on how you actually sort of approach that fight, if you go as a sort of 5-man unit, yes, the Gust is really easy to telegraph, but if you get the flank on, that Falster has to make split-second decisions, and he has the potential to choke.
Correct. Also, Ethereal, he can be so good at wave clear as well. So really then helping them push out a lane, then call out Ethereal to the fights. And he nullifies a lot of what's on the board for Ethereal with that Falstad, with the ETC, even with D.Va. So I think he'd be a great asset to pick up. But I do like the Tacita pick as well. So they've got their hyper carries, and they've got ways to keep him safe. But look at this, Gimme. Cassia
I like this Cassia. I like this Cassia a lot. This is basically saying that, hey, we realize what your comp is all about. Genji and Vala being the focal points. We know that you're wanting to come onto us. So I don't need to really essentially dive with my Fend. I can just keep running around all day. You're not really going to be able to actually take me out as a target. And the Orb Lightning will be able to bounce and get insane amount of value. Not to mention you've got Rhaegar there with a slowing totem, so that can also just slow down their advance. So really this whole comp from Ethereal is saying, we know you guys want to dive at us. We know that you guys think you're better on a micro level to sort of outmanage these fights. But hey, we've got all these tools in the bank. So we've got an insurance policy between the self-destruct, the Gust, whatever it might be. Have fun trying to force that 5v5 that you've been dreaming of.
Yeah, we're going to make it really difficult for you. And that Cassia, love it. The blind as well. So good against the Genji. So good against the Vala. I do like the Arthas as well. It's going to give their team that frontliner that they really, really needed. But is it going to be enough? Because they are quite squishy. Yes, Genji has the deflect. Yes, Vala has 2 supports to look after. I'm just worried about how these fights are going to go. And whether Tass is going to opt in to get more damage through Archon so they can really blow someone up. Or is he going to try to do the force wall? I'd like to see a force wall. I think it'd be more strategic if they can pick off a person. That's going to be the best bet, I think, in these fights.
I think it's going to depend on how they want to play, because right now the only sticking power they have is the Arthas. I think that's the reason they went for the Arthas as opposed to the Ethereal, because they wouldn't really have any hard CC as such to be fully reliant on Uther, and that's a bit of a weird predicament. When your damage comes in waves of burst, right? You've got the Vala and the Genji. They're not straight up in your face. They progressively knock you down until they can get into that execution phase. So the Arthas, once he's in your face, it's very hard to escape it. So the Howling Blast combined with then Uther, give them a lot of sticking power. And yeah, if you had the Force Wall as well, that locks those members in. Rain of Vengeance, you name it. There are tools in the kit to make things happen. But let's introduce both of these teams. Here we go. On the left-hand side, it is Ethereal. You just saw them on your screens before. You're going to see them again for another best-of-3 series. This time, Touch Me on Falstad, Sorelli on D.Va, Pantone ETC, Cassia on Greatness, and Rhaegar on Aluminum.
And on the red team, we have NMD, Hiccup playing Genji, Hux on Uther, Ninja on Vala, MIA on Arthas, and Physics playing Tacita.
I do realise I just said Rhaegar on Aluminum, but you know, he's embodying the character. He's going to be getting that cosplay on. He's wearing the suit. I can already see it.
I've done it many a time. It's because the player is really just an epitome of that hero, so we just want to combine the two, right?
we just want to make them feel at home, But there's the sort of the trade right off the bat, right? You can see that Ethereal went for that watchtower. That seems to usually be the go-to call, but the rest of NMD goes straight for that point. Oh, Hiccup, beautiful swift strike out there. He would have been caught by that power slide if Penta had reacted a split second quicker, but Hiccup does a great job there preventing the level 1 all-in.
Interesting. Really such aggressive right off the bat from NMD. See if they can capitalize, get that rotation happen. Generally, everyone does like to go in the mid, that ARAM style, but oh, I love that they were able to at least get that first turret down to half health. Not bad.
Well, this is the sort of the core philosophy of this map, right? It's all about taking structures. If you think about it, every time you do some siege damage, you're that much closer to winning the game. Now, that does sound pretty generic in its statement, but I say when you're getting these temples, those temples are sort of slowly whittling around these structures. So if you can get half a tower down at the start of the game, uncontested for free, hey, that's putting yourself in a good starting point.
And I know we always harp on about what Falstad's going to take, whether he's going to build into more of that auto-attack build, whether he's going to build more into the Mage Falstad. Seasoned Marksman has been picked up by Touch Me, indicating that he's going to focus more of that auto-attack build. But in saying that, oh, I'm going to cut myself off. Physics.
I was watching this earlier there. Yeah, I mean, you can see that he was going to get burnt through the mech mode. I was waiting for the stun to come out afterwards. I just don't have the follow-up, nor that burst to actually get her out in that pilot.
Oh, it's always the fact with D.Va. I mean, she's set back now because she is in Baby D.Va, as I like to call her. I don't like Pilot Mode. Baby D.Va is much, much cuter, so I'm going to go with that. But, some aggression happening now. Sorelli's almost going to have Mecha back up.
Yeah, in the bot lane as well. It's actually a bit of a trade. Fausted forcing Physics to go for the recall, so he will not only have the global advantage, but the absolute advantage in that lane too, forcing Tesla to go back to the well, come back to the mid lane. It's going to be a trade at the moment. Right now, it seems that NMD have full control with 3 members sitting in the mid lane, whilst Genji is in the top lane on his own, up against 3 members, taking a lot of damage. Sully is going to go for the rotate as well. Fausted is still in the bot lane, so going to force Tesla to go down there, keep up that soak, otherwise they fall so far behind in structures.
Hiccup versus the world up there is what I saw, but really Touch Me getting the advantage by bullying Physics so hard in this bottom lane. Physics is once again quite low. And it doesn't look like he has tap available either. So by trading the temples, yes, Faustad is getting the advantage, getting that soak advantage. And look, we can see 5 has been acquired first. So if they keep up, they're well set to hit 10 first. Gimme.
Yeah, Touch Me is absolutely bodying Physics in the spot lane here. Yes, he does have the Car's Embrace with the extra lifesteal, but he's not being given any breathing room to actually work that into his rotation. He literally just rocked back up to the lane, took a full combo to the face. And all things said and done, Touch Me says, well, yeah, off you go again. So he's already used that well tap. Touch Me, sure, he doesn't have too much mana left in the bank, but that is a winning trade for those guys in the bot lane that they can feel quite happy with. At this stage, yeah, it's going to be a case of rotating through for those Mercs. Night Camp's going to be picked up extremely early on here by the side of NMD.
I really like that by NMD because we all know after the first rotation of temples in top and mid, it's going to be bottom next. So if you have that camp pushing, by the time it spawns, you can get a lot of value if this camp is left uncontested.
Unlucky in the bot lane there. Hiccup, he missed 1 rotation of shurikens, and Touch Me gets away on 100 health. That was really what they needed to sort of secure in that bot lane there. Physics will be left to his own device. The rest of Ethereal, as a result of NMD trading the Knights, they get the Giants in the bot lane, so we're trading off priorities right here, but it seems to be that the rest of NMD are going to try and get as much value with those Knights as they can. They get 1 tower, they exhaust for the majority part a lot of the ammo in that second tower. Basically, they're trying to play catch-up here. They need to try and keep within a slight buffer of that level 10, because as soon as that second temple phase spawns, that's when the chaos really ensues.
I like how NMD's been keeping up with the experience as well, and Sarah Lee as well, using Mecha to help clear that camp nice and quick. And in opposition, they've got their camp now pushing in that top lane left, uncontested, but Skibby, there's a fight happening.
Attempt. Yeah, they're going to look for Hiccup. The power slide was utilised, but the Swift Strike at the last second makes sure Hiccup can get away. They did try to switch their attention onto Arthas. MIA was taking a fair bit of damage, but they do have the well tap available. So the gank attempt, or the sort of the rotation for the invade was successful for Ethereal, which is really good for those guys because they are built around that level 10, around that sort of disengage or self-destruct anti-dive. It's really all on NMD to try and secure that early game advantage with their pet comp and transition it in.
So Physics was the one who got sent top to deal with that camp, pushing alongside, and we can see already members, they've got 1 on the temple and the rest of them are pushing to get even more value out of this bottom lane. Front wall has been cleared out in that bottom lane as well.
Yeah, right now it's a bit rough for Physics. He's forced to keeping up with this fast. It's not the ideal position for him. He wants to be with that Valla, enable Hiccup or say Ninja for the most part to actually really get that full ability damage out there. But MIA is going to catch him out. There goes the stun on towards Sorelli, who's now in that pilot mode. Hiccup's going to go into the backline looking for that kill. He can't get it. Once again, D.Va gets away on 80 health. They're going to try and switch their attention onto ETC. They do get it. 2 kills for none right now. This is beautiful stuff. They can now transition through, but they can't pick up the temple. It was picked away before, but this is beautiful before level 10 can be acquired.
I really like that by Sarah Lee. Even though self-destruct was up and he could use it, he's making sure that he holds on to it for a safer day. Was able to get away, barely, but if Hiccup got that reset, could have spelled more disaster. On the side of Ethereal, they did manage to complete that bottom temple, getting the shots, but look at the push coming now. The counter push by NMD.
They're going to go for it again. Howling Blast connects into Castu, so we don't care if you can block auto attack damage. We are going to dive you at your face, and Hiccup does exactly that. MIA is not finished there. He goes in for a second Howling Blast. This time into Strelly. Does have the self-destruct ready to go, so they're not going to be able to pursue that any further. But Vandy, I was just going to bring up the fact that at level 7, Surge of Light has been picked up by Cassia, which for the most part was the go-to, going to give you that extra burst element. And knowing full well that you have a dive comp in your face, we have from past experience sometimes seen the War Traveler, so you can get the extra movement speed, especially against a Arthas.
Yeah, it's exactly. So definitely they are speccing to make sure that they can counter what's being thrown at them and just really responding to that. It's good that you're not using a cookie cutter build. This is what your talents are for. You can build accordingly.
Touch me there, getting really close to death. He actually barreled into a random vengeance. The gust was clipped at the last second, making sure those 3 members could not collapse.
Oh, Skimmy. Look at the mid lane.
What?
Look at this. Arthur's gone. Mosh was burnt. Yes, the Divine Shield did go out, but then Sarah Lee using the self-destruct. That was brutal to watch. Everything in on Arthur's.
Action happening in all the lanes, and once again it seems that Ethereal get the better of the trades. They connect with the gank attempt. NMD, they've been looking all game for these kill attempts, but it's only been successful once. And that's something that they need to change, and change fast, because right now Falstaff is finding value by pushing in these lanes. He's just acquired that top 4.
I like that. So I was just looking at the heroics. So big shot for D.Va as opposed to Bunny Hop, indicating that wants to have maximum uptime in mecha mode. And as well, we can see on the side, we have had an Archon being picked up by Tass as well. So really opting more for that damage instead of trying to go for the split or trying to block them off. Because if you think about it, once again, another fight in the mid lane.
Wow, look, MIA is caught in the middle of nowhere. He doesn't even have Army of the Ghoul yet. 10 seconds for Army of the Dead to come about, but it's going to be a case of a gust actually only connecting with 1 target onto Hiccup. That's a big cooldown burn. Divine Shield will be up in 15 seconds, and Army of the Dead has now come on locked, so this could be the potential re-engage that they're looking for before 13 is acquired, Vandy.
I was just going to say, Forceful could only get limited value against such a mobile team is what Ethereal's packing at the moment.
Yeah, it suggests to me that rather than getting the picks, which is what we thought they were going to do, to say, look, let's just get some raw damage output. That way we can actually accelerate these fights and win in that regard. There goes, oh, the Howling Blast instantly cleanses their Lumen, taking no chances with that one, even protected under that fort in the mid lane. Yeah, there's a lot of damage to consider. I was just thinking, Benny, with the big shot on D.Va, it almost suggests that Cirille's feeling extremely confident and safe and wants that extra damage.
Yeah, so when you are in Baby D.Va mode or Pilot mode, you can pop off and do a lot. It's on a very short cooldown, does a lot of damage, and it really helps recharge that mech. But if the longer you stay in Pilot mode as well, yeah, you have to have that safety because you can be blown up at any second. But the fight's breaking out now for this.
Light is coming in, Vandy. The Gust attempt can come here any second when it needs to. Divine Shield straight onto Hiccup as he dashes out. Not the ideal usage of that cooldown. MIA is going to lead the charge, but self-destruct in the face of all 5 members. It's not going to save anyone this time, but it does force them to go for the disengage. And Power Slide was met by a Rain of Vengeance, and now comes the re-engage from MIA. But Cirille instantly calls down that mech mode, making sure that there's no chance of taking. MIA forced to take the wrong turn at that junction, turns left when he should have gone straight. Arthur's taken out for free, and level 13 finding insane value for Ethereal.
I love how Ethereal are dictating these fights. It's going down exactly how we decided, and they waited until the heroics were back up as well. So it's just smart timing, smart posturing for that fight once it did break out. And the Divine Shield, a little bit early, we could argue, because it didn't find a lot of value, because Hiccup also did dash out.
Yeah, I mean, ideally you're wanting to use that when the Dragon Blade is being popped, so you can get maximum value, really penetrate that backline and find that first kill to start off the resets. But yeah, he Swift Strike out as the Divine Shield was received. So, I mean, it's what we've been talking about at this team. They are star players in their own right, but do they have the synergy to work out together? I mean, it seems easy enough, but when you've played your Hero League games, you know how much salt there is in ANZ, and you know what it can feel like.
Oh, it can just feel like an uphill battle. Everyone wants to do their own thing, so you do need that clear shot calling happening, clear communication. We always harp on about it, but it can make or break a team. And Ethereal, they're working like a well-oiled machine this game. And they have had a warm-up, we do need to say as well. They have had a nice 3-game warm-up, so they're fresh.
They're fresh in terms of playing, and they're fresh in terms of being all on stream. They're getting some major TV vibing love right now, but it seems to be that the rotation is in the bot lane from NMD, looking to try and get that level 13. They do get the fort as well for their efforts, but Physics, poor old Physics, is kept on wave clear duties. He's having to be almost a hybrid Fausted follower, the babysitter, if you will, when it's never a fun time.
Is it a babysitter though? It's more just like you're cleaning up the nanny. He's the nanny.
Oh, it's even worse.
I know. Well, it's not an enjoyable job, but with that, so as soon as Physics showed top, the boss call was made. That was what they were waiting for. The map has been painted blue by Ethereal currently.
Yeah, and they can quite confidently doing that, knowing it is a 4v5. So he's actually going to body MIA, looking for that body block. Power Slide coming out here. Moshpit as well. There is no cleanse. Where's the cleanse? It doesn't come out. Divine Shield is used because it is guarding the Ancient Kings. Backline greatness, trying to jump in, find that kill. Stray gets a huge Self-destruct in the backline. That's going to force Ninja out completely. He's separated from the rest of the team. The other members are here, but there goes the damage. They're looking to try and take out Tesla. Dimensional Shift is popped as Archon is ready to go. Boss is still pushing bot lane, mind you. That is a keep that is being threatened. There goes the Dragon's Blade. They try and collapse with the Howling Blast, expending the last of MIA's mana. It's not enough. He pays the price with his life, but here comes the resets. There's first kill. Can they find any more? Members are very, very low now, mind you. Pick up down to 25 health. He can't do much. Divine Shield, Devotion Clone, if you will, on Uther allows Ninja to stay alive a little bit longer. A much closer fight, Vandy. It was a 3v3, but the boss is looking to get a keep.
That was a bloodbath. 3 for 3, insane. And what we'd like to, or what I'd like to touch on as well, as soon as that self-destruct went out, as you said, Ninja was out of the fight for quite some time, a couple seconds, which is huge in terms of team fight. And yet, we could just see there was just not enough damage to pick off anyone. Army of the Dead buying so much time for Arthas. Yes, I know that the Marsh did collapse on him. Rain of Vengeance did interrupt, but they just couldn't get a pick in that time. And that sort of made the team fight so much closer than it needed to be for them.
Yeah, it wasn't really ideal with the Divine Shield going on to Arthas once the brunt of that damage had already been received. You can see that Ninja, as well as Hiccup for the major part, are trying to get into that backline, really sort of execute that key target. And they did for the most part, but can you imagine if the Divine Shield was on Hiccup in that fight, how different that could have turned around? You know, that was them at a level disadvantage. It's 16 to 15. That could have been a very different outcome.
Oh, it really could have, but I'm glad. I mean, it's making the game go down to the wire. So both teams really woken up now, and we can see, so they'll trade the temples at this point. And really, I think they'll just go for camps then on out. There is a huge wave up top though, which I think, yeah, Tushmi's on his way to collect that experience.
Yeah, this has worked out in favor of NMD. Well, actually, sorry, Ethereal in the bot lane, given that they already had that damage permanently attached to that keep, that Temple on the bot lane does secure it. Now they get some damage onto the mid keep as well, which has been exposed, dropped to half. It's a case of trying to get a trade here. Hiccup has been working on this single-handedly. They're going to pick up the Night Camp as well, and you'd have to imagine they escort this in with the 16 advantage, with the ultimates in hand, look for a decisive team fight and try and even the scales here.
That's really what they want to do while they're on even fighting, as you said, and look at how they're postured.
Oh, once again, Howling Blast coming out on towards Penti. He does have the mosh pit available. He's going to decide to defensively power slide away. Doesn't want to commit to a fight just yet. Defense metrics is going to be used. Once again, another Howling Blast. They're trying to collapse onto Sully, but it's just such a frustrating target to really deal with because you've got that second mech mode, that second health bar. If you pump a lot of your damage resources into it, you're essentially going to lose the fight just from raw damage output.
Skimmy, I really like this. The entire time that they were, you know, trying to escort in the top lane, look at this bottom lane now. The siege camp has totally, the golems, they're about to hit the core, so it's forcing NMD to come back and defend their base. And the next temples on the side of Ethereal, it will be pure keep damage. So that's high value. They will fight hard to make sure that they can secure that.
Yeah, this is those late game team fights. We're 15 minutes into this one. This is do or die really as it gets closer and closer to level 20 for the side of Ethereal. You need to find that one decisive team fight. If anything, you'd have to hope that NMD are thinking, will Ethereal get a little bit too confident? Will they split up? When they do, that's when we need to execute. When Touch Me is looking for that split push to potentially try and snipe off a keep, that's when we need to all in commit and try and win that fight. And if you can, when the death timers are that long, especially staggered death timers, that's when you have a big opportunity to execute with them.
Yeah, that's when things can start to get really interesting. And look at the aggression coming out as now they are sieging. They just said, we don't need the temples just yet. We're quite confident enough to even bring the sieging up. But with that next temple up and boss up in less than a minute, there's going to be two interesting things going on here. So whether a team commits to the top temple and then the other team rotates to boss, we've often seen something like that. But looks like they want to fight even before that. Both teams undecided in what they want to do currently.
This is the best case scenario for NMD because if they had at least 2 temples to deal with, they would have taken a lot of damage. So only having to deal with one really works in their favor. And as you already mentioned, yeah, the boss in 30 seconds allows them to have a condition or say, hey, well, if we can't contest this, let's just pick up the boss. It gives us some breathing room in the bot lane to passively deal with those keep cannons. But they're going to look to be engaged. Touch Me's already down to half. He does have the Gust. Actually, no, he's already burnt the Gust. This is really good for them right now. They could actually find a good team fight, only having to deal with the self-destruct and the mosh pit. They're posturing around in the mid lane. They're looking for that collapse. They're going to Sully for the start. He is dropped down to half as well, but they can't seem to find the right engagement. Hiccup is trying to get an angle and trying to execute something before 20 is picked up.
I'm worried here now on the side of Oh, I'm worried for the side of Ethereal because what happened was Touch Me had to blow Gust against Hiccup in the top lane. So that's a huge heroic that's been burnt. I mean, it's going to be up in another 20 seconds, but as we saw, they instantly disengaged Ethereal with that disadvantage. They said, we don't want to pick a fight unless we have everything available. But look at this, I love this. They've sent Touch Me up top. This is that global pressure that I'm talking about. And then now they're going to pressure the middle lane as well.
This is it. This is when they need to force that fight. They need to force in the fight. So you still don't have Gust just yet. You need to use your flight to try and commit something here. But look at the disengage. This is what we're talking about from this comp. They have the boosters, the power slide, the ability just to run away with the totem from Rhaegar as well. It's like, how frustrating do you want to actually be to try and force this fight?
The mobility. I mean, we can see MIA. He's trying to get a pick, get that Howling Blast, lock up someone so that they can engage. It's a 4v5. They are keen to fight. This is the fight that they need.
They're still running it straight down mid and still no sign of a Gust coming in. Still no sign of a flight coming in. There's the first pick. Rhaegar taking out the equation before he can even use that Ancestral. Beautiful stuff. Bot lane is passively pushing against them right now, but they need to do something. Level 20 is on the doorstep of Ethereal.
Oh, Skimmy, I loved that. That was exactly what we needed NMD to do, and they delivered. MIA, second time around. Howling Blast was lucky on the Rhaegar as well, so he couldn't even Ancestral himself. That was a beautiful pick. And now the tables have turned, because they can pressure this middle keep.
Both keeps for NMD are down to half. And you can see them slowly whittling away at this one in the mid lane, but they just don't have the staying power. They don't have the ability to do it. Gust, Mosh Pit, everything is there. One Mosh Pit, and that's game over. You can see they're getting a little bit frustrated with this, but Penta's going to be called out. There's no chance for a cleanse. Rain Avengers clap, Sissy Power Slides as well. Beautiful stuff here. ETC taken out. These are the staggered death timers we're talking about. Rhaegar's still down for another 7 seconds, and ETC is down for 50. You have to imagine they do a big play here by picking up the golems and the boss.
I like this by NMD. They're wasting no time. They are trying to bait out that boss as long as they can. Second time around now.
Phase checking is never a good idea. Shreddy's going to be the next one to be caught in here. And once you're caught in that grasp, Arthas will have no sign of letting down. This is not what Ethereal need to start doing. Staggered death timers are never a good situation. But check bot lane, Vandy. Touch me, try to be a cheeky Nando and get that bot lane sort of sweat in. But Physics already got his number with that back door.
And look at this as well. Physics on the hunt. Doesn't want to let him recall. Just putting down the pressure, delaying him from defending his base. That will be an easy boss picked up by NMD. I love that they went for Siege first. Because if you were on the side of Ethereal, you say, surely they've just gone straight for boss. They want to secure that. It's the bigger objective. No, they waited at Siege. And then it was the same thing happening. So the first off, we saw Penta go in. Then the second time, we saw Sarah Lee go in. And both times they got caught at the same spot by the Howling Blast and allowed NMD to collapse.
Given how much damage they've taken in these lanes and how pressed they are, they actually can't even push in with this boss. Temple phase will spawn. It's going to be a double phase at that. And if both if both temples are picked up by Ethereal, that's both the remaining keeps gone. But there goes the engage from behind. A beautiful Rain of Vengeance catching free. Mosh Pit is used, and that's not going to be interrupted. Gust is ready to use from the backline if need be. They're on the point. They're going to try and look for that cap. They do get the steal, but is it going to get any value? Divine Shoot in the backline looking to try and take it. ETC is on Ninja. Do they get the kill? Rhaegar the first to fall. Beautiful stuff. Cassia gone as well. The members of Ethereal are slowly being picked upon, and NMD, their health bars are so dangerously low, but they've done the damage. Keep in the bot lane is being sieged upon now by that boss, but the rest of them are in mid lane looking for more kills and more damage.
It's a pity as well that Sarah Lee did not have self-destruct available just yet. Really, that death put Sarah Lee so far back in trying to generate self-destruct quickly enough. It is up now, but needed it in the invade, needed it to try and defend. Oh, look at how quick the tides have turned, Skimmy. And that is a Genji as well. He can be such a deadly threat. And as well, we're seeing Hux getting so much more value on the Divine Shields. Ninja was so low with that ball lightning, and Divine Shield just saving and making sure that he was going to be out of harm's way.
Yeah, once those impactful ultimates or cooldowns for the major part are actually used on your crucial carries, be it the Valor or the Genji, that's when the fights can actually start working out in your favor. Never a good story when your Arthas is leading the charge with that invulnerability, but this is going to give them some really good breathing room right now because they have control with the 5-man advantage. They can get the temple in mid lane for free, uncontested. Those shots are just about to finish. They can then rotate as a 5-man unit to the top lane. With everybody then having their ultimates up, another fight can break out, and that one will surely seal the deal because right now, Keeps are gone. Self-destruct is popped in the middle lane. MIA taking a lot of damage. He's even popped before anything can be said and done. Ghouls are not really enough for that lifesteal. And suddenly, it's NMD once again on the back foot.
Beautiful by Ethereal. The same thing that happened to them, they did. They saw that someone had to be on the top temple, so they knew instantly it's going to be a 4v5 fight. Let's try and get a... And with an open keep as well, they will want to end. Look at this. No time was wasted at all.
Gust is available. Moshpit is available as well. Rain Adventures onto 5 targets. That's huge, but it's just so much damage, man. He just can't do it. Moshpit is going to be used on 2 targets at the very end. Rain Adventures comes out, but the Ancestral negates all of that damage. It's not going to be enough. One team fight seals the deal, and Ethereal, warmed up as they may, they get started here with a 1-0 lead in this best of 3.
That was insane to watch by Ethereal. I love that as soon as the call was made, they all listened. Once again, Self-Destruct being the playmaker of their game, separating out the fight so that they could pick off MIA and then next pick off Hux. Beautiful stuff by Ethereal. I really love the way both teams played.
It just sort of plays into that philosophy we were saying at the start of the day, right? About the whole sprint and marathon analogy about, hey, for the most part, they were actually losing the early game, which is where we thought their sort of strength lied in to accelerate and give them that momentum. But they did manage to pick it up during the mid to late game. But the one team fight, they'd already secured the temple. Unlucky positioning with MIA. He seemed to be in a different page to the rest of his team. He was actually trying to push in. 4 members collapsed upon it and go, cool, we'll just take out your tank for free. And from then on, given they'd done all that damage in the early game, it was an easy chance for him to then rush the core. But Geo Phoenix and Discon Kurgan, sir, what did you think about that game?
You go first, Geo.
I was just going to say, that was a very back and forward towards the later half of that game. It seemed like Ethereal had control for the majority of it. They were not allowing NMD to really play to their composition. We saw the very heavy dive composition with the Genji and the Navala and all the support to go with it. They wanted to go in, but Ethereal, they were just like, no, we don't want any of that. They were fine just playing the map, and that worked out really well for them. And we saw, it was just those later fights where they pretty much just walked into an Arthas, weren't able to kill him, and then they just end up losing the fights, which end up swinging it. But then, as you mentioned, Skimmy, towards the end, MIA on the Arthas getting caught out, not on the same page. You two were talking about it throughout the game. Is that yes, that is a team of very historically strong players, and they continue to show that they are very strong players. But as a team, sometimes we're seeing some of that coordination just being a little bit off, and I think that's what we saw towards the end there.
It was, I'm gonna be the bad guy. It was a game. It was a game of mistakes. I really feel that's what started and each team was great at capitalizing on the mistakes. So often we saw a couple of little face checks, players not playing safe, they get caught out.
Yeah.
Genji, hike up on the Genji, missing a couple of really, really vital shots. But in the credit to both teams, when those mistakes were made, they were able to capitalize on that. And that's really what we saw at the end of the game. The split team coming out of NMD, God, they love abbreviations. We saw Ethereal take advantage of that. They knew they were separated. They got the kill. They finished the game. And that's what it was taking advantage of those situations. It was really well played by both sides, but just little small plays that really need to be fixed up.
One thing I do want to say is that we saw pretty much in that game alone why Falstad kind of started to fall off a little bit, especially during the mid-season brawl, because the Genji is so... he can be so aggressive on the Falstad, he has to pretty much blow everything just to keep himself safe, and that's pretty much what we saw time and time again. So they did end up getting the win, but we do see there just why the Falstad started to kind of dip in popularity or favorability.
Falstad, he does need a team to help him excel, whereas Vala is more of... That's why Vala's the chosen hypercarry. She fits in a lot nicer with team. But if you are going for a control comp, so off the bat, by going Falstad, they're like, okay, we can dictate the pace of the game, but we do have this global to help us push. But yes, I agree. You do need to build up a team around him, because on his own, he can be quite weak, and especially, as you said, to that Genji, and left alone with nothing to back him up. But as we saw, the team was backing him up, but a lot of the time, the Gus had to be used as that last sort of, oh my god, get off me with this Dragon Blade.
Yeah. It seemed to be with their composition, given they had the Vala and the Arthas, the only real hero that had not sort of displacement as such, but mobility above just straight running it down. Yeah. It was a case of, the Rhaegar totem finding massive value. So when Faster wasn't that top lane. They were trying to force that 4v5 desperately, but you never saw Touch Me hesitate to actually use the flight. He was just like, well, just run.
Yeah, I mean,
we've got Mosh Pit, we've got Power Slide, we've got Slowing Totem, we've got Self-Destruct if they really come at us. And that's something that we saw for a long time with globals being baited out. Like, oh, they're actually jumping on us, coming quickly, quickly. And then the team that were actually making it engage just back off and go, cool, we just baited out that big cooldown. So you can see sort of the patience and the understanding of what their conditions were and how to sort of deal with it. But yeah, you mentioned also with the Gust, when it has to be blown on a Genji, same kind of situation again. It was blown on one hero, but they still couldn't force the fight unless hero started to do the face check, and that's what allowed them to get the boss.
And also to point out, like, how fast can Genji get back in the fight as well? Like, he's a fast hero. He can, you can blow him away, but he's got so many tools to get back into the fight fast, and his tool set allows those things to be reset. So even pushing him back, well, he can rapidly re-engage.
Yeah.
It does look like we're going to game number 2, this time on Battlefield of Eternity, and because Ethereal had first pick last game, it does mean that this time NMD get the first rotational choice as Vandy.
Let's see what they do with
see what they decide to do with it. Yeah, we've seen from the past a lot of priority on the Vala, the Grey main, and the Lee main, all about winning the race. But the meta has changed a fair bit. It's not so much about racing anymore, more so it's about sort of picking and choosing your fights, going on a defense, finding that initial pick, and then utilizing that numbers advantage to then work it in.
Yeah, it used to be about the race, and then in the second half, then you do the scrap up, as it was said. But definitely, we've seen a shift now to be more of that control. It's not all about just winning the race. It's more about winning the fight, then taking the Immortal at your leisure. So, yeah, in saying that, so picks like Nazebo have been quite popular for something like that. Artanis, he can do both. He can race and fight quite nicely, especially on a map like this. And then, as you said, the Valor, the Grey Man, always high in contention just for how much damage they can do. And if either of those are banned, also opening up picks such as the Lunara, where she can excel on a map like this.
I mean, not to mention already about what you said in the racing capacity of Artanis, but he also finds the extra value, given that there's a lot of focal points of people going for the Valor, going for the Grey main, and going for the Lunara. It shuts down all of that auto-attack damage and gives you that dueling potential. We've seen those insane swaps into roots, for example, and almost a little bit like Stitches, those game-changing moments can really allow you to suddenly win the game late game.
If you are hitting those prisms, you are just going to set up an amazing push for your team, especially if you have the Immortal in that lane. Can be so good at getting a pick, especially because there's so much you need to focus on in these scraps, in these battles. And the Immortal doesn't help with the melee attack and then the ranged attack as well. So if you're defending, it's just like having a sixth person there as well. So love to see it happen. But let's talk about this Anubarak ban. We know he's strong, Skimmy, and that Cocoon as well can be so detrimental at turning a 5v5 fight into a 5v4 fight.
Yeah, especially when it's prioritized on a healer, especially somebody that's very dependent on the cooldown, like the Oriole or the Rhaegar. You can shut that person down, dive the carry, take them out of the fight, essentially making that 4v5 a 3v5 as the healer pops out. Doesn't really have the most obvious target to then go for, but this is going to be... If you're actually running this one down to the wire, they do finally lock in with the Ufa. It does allow Genji to be a first pick if they decide to. Sometimes you do see the Dahaka when Anubarak's taken off. Not the best map for him, but still does have that value with the ability to jump through those brushes.
Dahaka, as you said, it's not so much the brush stalker that's an advantage here. It's more going to be picking him for that constant pressure up top lane, and he can beat most solo laners, or if not, go toe-to-toe with them quite well. There's not much he loses out against, but instantly, Valor. High respect on Valor. So you opt into the Hungering Arrow build. You take things such as Monster Hunter, Puncturing Arrow, and you can dish out insane burst damage against that Immortal, as well as doing quite nicely in a fight. So lots of deeps going out. Almost turn you into like a little mage sometimes, I find, that build. Yeah,
it's quite interesting to see it come out as the first pick rotation, though, because you can now see that Ethereal almost to some degree know what they're achieving or know what they're aiming for. So wouldn't be surprised if they actually go into a Oriole or Tesla rotation themselves. We've seen Tracer sometimes played on this map, and that pairs quite nicely with the Tess. They are going to look in the Oriole, so that is the denial, but what do they want to pair it with? Nazebo works really well. They're going to take the Harker as well, so not even two phase. Maybe they go for the Gul'dan, maybe they go for the Lunara for that racing potential, but they've taken two great picks away from NMB to start things off with.
So that Oriole pick, very interesting. As you said, it's to deny the Valor, but I like the Dahaka as well, so they can wait and see what else is going to fill out the draft. And as we said, Dahaka, so good in that top lane. Yeah, okay, people might say he's not going to get as much value out of Brush Stalker. It doesn't really need to. Yes, there's still some fog that he can do the ganks out of. It's going to be that split, and then perhaps if he takes adaptation, I think we'll see adaptation. I'm not sure. It depends on what happens, but an isolation is not completely off the table. On the side, now, what do we want to pair that Valor off with? Tacita is still open. You can still do the double supports. You can go a nice, strong, beefy frontliner as well with some bruises. I'd like to see even the Artanis go for that full race. Why not?
Yeah.
Keep it Valor. Artanis will counter Valor, essentially, so why not take it?
I mean, yeah, Vala is the #1 racer, especially once she's completed that Q quest talent as well. She's uncontested in that regard. They need the Tassadar. They need to get at least one person, one component of that win condition. They can then flex their support depending on how this draft progresses. But they go for the ETC as well. So back in the day, obviously, ETC gave you the attack speed buff, which made it really so strong for these races. Now it provides them with the armor for that self-sustain, for that sort of tankiness on demand. But I suppose they're really valuing what the Mosh Pit did last game. They said we can't afford to have that again. Not to mention they already had the Dahak and Oriel. There's a lot of CC to deal with, and we don't know how to sort of utilize that Rain of Vengeance just to interrupt that one cooldown.
They're going very similar with the small iterations, I guess, of change of what was being run last game. We often see that after the first game, teams, they will almost end up with counter teams of what they just versed, trying to deny the team they just versed. It's always interesting. And then, yeah, the Rhaegar ban, nice and targeted once again. Don't want that Ancestral finding any value.
Yes, they take away the Ancestral. They also take away the Lightning Bond, so the 10 on level 1 that makes Lightning Shield proc on not only himself, but somebody else, giving them even more racing potential. But not to mention the slowing totem, which caused so many problems for NMD last time. So if you see Ethereal transition into a Greymane, into a sort of all-in comp, that would really sort of hinder their advances.
It's almost that, yeah, every time they wanted to engage, the totem was there to help them disengage, really getting a lot of that safe space. I wonder if we'll see another Diva picked up. I mean, this is, I guess, one of the maps where it can be a little bit uncommon. She still works quite nicely for the same reasons. When you're in those tight areas around the Immortal, she can do a lot of zoning potential off these areas. But I'm thinking, if you got a ban, see, not much is given away with the Oriel and Dahaka, so it's just going to be picks that they don't want interrupting their backline.
Yeah, it's
such a Greymane. That's good.
Yeah, I thought that's what they're going to go for. They do decide to go for the standard pick. They want to make sure that they take out a key target in the race, not to mention the blow-up potential. The Curse Bullet will just smash ETC if he goes for a Mosh Pit. They do transition Vandy into the Diva, and they're going to pair that with the Li Ming, so they have the poke potential during that exchange of Immortals. But the Diva, once again, giving you that... I mean, the self-destruct zoning tool is so insane. If the Mosh Pit does come out, once again, do we follow it up? If the self-destruct is overlaid on it, even the ETC himself thinks, hey, the closer I am to the center of this, the more damage I take. So even he has to start considering what is he doing.
Yeah, say if ETC goes in for the huge mosh, but doesn't catch Diva, Diva then self-destructs for any follow-up, ETC's just on his own. You hate being an ETC moshing with no one around. It's like, I'm playing for so many people and I'm dead.
I'm just wondering, though, the build that comes out in this Li Ming, generally speaking, a hybrid build you can run for this map specifically is the Q build. So that's fully investing your talents into that magic missile. So not only do the magic missiles do more damage, but also if you auto attack off them as well, they proc for even more damage. You kind of become a little bit like Chromie with the bronze talons.
I was about to say, yeah, it is. It's even if you're not, say, getting the majority of your damage off with magic missile, say a miss, it's that auto attack, and because you're consistently spamming it out, it can actually add up. And I like this. The Sonya, Malfurion, and Sonya are going to help in dealing with Dahaka. Both of them have self-sustain, and Malfurion, are we going to see? We'll see a Twilight Dream, surely. So say if ETC sets it with a Mosh into a Twi Dream, they're locked out for so many seconds, or Twi Dream to make sure that there's no interrupts going out for the Mosh.
Right, again, it seems to be the same archetype here of compositions, with NMD running a dive comp, or for the most part getting in your face, being aggressive, being the ones that are the aggressors, forcing those engagements, whilst Ethereal are quite happy to pump the brakes and just play defensive and say, yeah, you come at us, we'll control how you actually decide to force that engage. They go for the Diva again, they go for the Dahaka again, and they've got the battery. I mean, we said the rechargeable battery the other day of Li Ming. They need somebody reliable. I'm thinking Lunara is really good here because it can jump over the likes of ETC and Sonya. It can duel with the Vala. But does their player for that final spot have that in their hero arsenal?
Do they feel confident enough to play Lunara? Yeah, I'm thinking because Lunara can recharge Oriel's battery so good. Cassia will be able to do something similar as well. I'm just a bit bummed. I'm like, I was really hoping for a Lunara, but Cassia will do the same. And they're confident on the Cassia. So it's all about not just picking for the sake of, oh, this looks good. You have to be confident in playing that. And yeah, it's good. They're going to get more lightning damage.
Yeah, I mean, talking about it logically, right now, NMD just have pure auto attack damage. They're fully invested in the Vala and fully invested in the Sonya. So yeah, the Cassia does work to some degree. It's, once again, going to be like last game where it denies a lot of that damage output. Means that, okay, you can't kill the Diva, you can't kill the Dahaka. Oriel, for the most part, shouldn't be in the front line anyway. You may look and try and go for Li Ming, but even she's a pain. So we might even see a leap again, just to try and force that backline engage.
Oh, greatness on that Li Ming again. Does love it. He did go that orb build, which he was saying, let me just go and take a shower, feeling a bit dirty.
Yeah.
Could opt for it. There's not a lot that can interrupt the orb on this once you're out of the lanes. So you can actually find a lot of value, provided that he doesn't get blown up, because to do that, you expect the glass cannon. It's a trade-off. So let's see how it plays out. But yeah, very similar in terms of strategy going out again. So we can really see the type of play style both teams are favoring.
In terms of racing potential of Andy, I'd have to give it right now to NMD. They seem to have got everything that they needed, everything that they wanted, and it plays into their sort of fold of things. They want to force those fights, they want to get in your face, they want to be aggressive, and they want to win those fights. We didn't see it too much in the last game, but can this one be the turning point? This is on your left-hand side, Team NMD, currently 1-0 down in this best of 3, and let's bring up that roster. This time, Hiccup, the captain, on Sonya. Ninja, once again on Vala. Malfurion being played by Hux. MIA is playing ETC, and Tassadar played by Physics.
And on the red team, we've got Team Ethereal, Touch Me playing Cassia, Sarah Lee on Diva, Penta playing Dahaka, Greatness on Li Ming, and Luminum playing Oriel.
Luminum playing Oriel. Such a good support player. Did go away out the season for quite a while. Has come back, and I remember both Luminum and Penta have been on our team in the past. They did play for Negative Synergy back in last season's LAN. They have a lot of synergy combined between the two of them. They love to play together. But there we go. Power Slide from MIA to start things off with. Out of the brush and into the open. Can't find the kill potential just yet. They are going to peel back to those lanes. It's going to be Sonya up against Dahaka in the top lane. That's always a fun matchup to watch.
Alrighty. So in terms of talents, Monster Hunter was picked up. Sarah Lee dropping. Or Mecha almost being expended. So Monster Hunter picked up by Vala, indicating that it is going to be that Hungering Arrow build. And Moonburn being picked up by Malfurion, indicating the Boomkin build, as we're coining it now as well. And Power Hungry being taken up by Li Ming, showing that because there's not really any spell damage that I need to be worried about, I'm going to go full damage this game.
Yeah, it almost suggests to me that, hey, we don't need the scouting drone because we're under no real threat here. We know they're not going to be the ones trying to force the fight as such. More so we're just going to deal with this poke. And look at that poke come. Greatness, chucking out those orbs at the gate. You're not safe there. Get back and hit that well tap. But yeah, the Moonburn will start to play into its own, come to mid to lake. Another huge orb. The sprays on the ground, the love hearts are being spread around here.
I love it. Look at this. They're just decking out the field, as you said. And yeah, what I like about Moonburn as well, it will help them push. So with that task, they can clean out a wave so easily before they want to go fight for the Immortal.
See MIA getting a little bit frustrated. They're saying, look, we're taking so much damage from these orbs. We just need to do something. We passively lose this lane otherwise. This is the lane that, generally speaking, should win. The double support with the Tassadar, it should be the Vala that is dictating the pace of that lane. And right now, Greatness is saying, I work on my own clock, and this is my watch.
Oh. Self-destruct, not getting a lot of value there.
That's unlucky. Australia is so low in that pilot mode, but only one target was able to hit it. Still Greatness. I mean, we keep harping on about him, but he is single-handedly dictating this. He is controlling these fights. Dimensional Shift has to be popped by Physics. Otherwise, he was in severe, grave danger. But the trade is going to happen. They're not even going to go for the defense in phase 1.
They are. So I love that. As soon as the defense was done, all over said and done, they went over to the Immortal. So it's less about that race, more about controlling the fight, than being happy to make a play for the Immortal. Two different play styles at work here.
Now, one thing I will mention at level 1, we said that, yeah, there is a rechargeable battery, not the most obvious enabler for that Hope Energy, but at level 1, Righteous Assault has been picked up by Oriel, and given that they are going to be diving, she's going to be able to get insane value with that clap of the Sacred Sweep. But Sonya is going to jump on down the first one before that is First Blood, going in favor of Ethereal, and they're dictating the pace of this game still. They were on the defense. They're playing a little bit more patiently this time around. Power Slide coming out, but once again, Greatness He's gone the all build. He's being dirty again. He's up to his same tricks as ETC falls to the grave.
I mean, it's great. Greatness has coined his own playstyle on this map. If he's on that Ming, guaranteed he's going to go that all build. So Triumvirate being taken up. Oh, Skimmy, it's doing so much work. Did you see how chunked we saw Ninja and Physics get back there?
He kind of just looks to what I say during the analysis and goes, that's a really cool story, Skimmy. I'm actually going to do this anyway. Look at that! Sonya just getting bodied. The boost coming out, really smashing him into the face and saying, not today.
Look at that. So with 4 defending, nice and easy. Even D.Va as well, once again, being so good at zoning. They just said, touch me out to their Immortal. Let's pick it up. But on the side of NMD, look at how quickly, when they are allowed to be on the Immortal, look at how much they did. Look at how small that shield is.
Yeah, they definitely have a really good racing comp. It's just a case of can they even get to the race.
Yeah.
Right now, they just keep poking and getting poked on down, and as this damage comes in, especially with those cooldown reductions from the all builds, it's a case of, you know, poke beats engage unless engage gets in the front line and starts forcing things, and that's what we're going to try and do here. Self-destruct's popping out to deter even further as this Immortal does swing through the initial gate, looking to take down Botful.
Keep that Immortal nice and healthy so he can do some good siege damage, and all the while, look at these orbs. Orbs for days.
MIA is getting so frustrated that he's looking for the opportunity whenever he can get it, but he just does not have the follow-up. The damage is just not there. Greatness still doing more damage. It is annoying to keep repeating, but it just seems to be the common denominator here. Touch Me also being that squishy target of the anti-attack damage. Ninja is looking for it. He just cannot find it. The shield coming out the last second. They just get the turnaround. They don't even care. Mouth gone. Task gone. Ninja in a world of trouble right now. The Dragon Tip. Beautiful stuff here from Ethereal. Picking up a triple kill.
Oh, I love what Ninja was doing. Ninja focused out Greatness, forcing him to fall back because, yes, the closer you are to the orbs, the less damage they're going to do. Correct. But he didn't get the kill, and then he was punished for it. So I love what he was trying to do. He just need a little bit more backup from his team to just secure that kill. And this fort is going to go down, and a ton of experience has been picked up by Ethereal.
Ethereal not even going to go for the reduced cooldown on that Array of Heaven. Going to have so much self-hope generation that's going to be insane, but they need to find these kills in burst waves. But right now, the story really is with Ethereal 2 level up. And they are going all about this map rotation right now. Kazra picked up in the bot lane, transitioning now to that Shaman camp. But if they can time this quite nicely, this transitions really nicely into the next Immortal phase, and for them to then achieve a level 10.
I really like that the whole time Hiccup was in the top lane getting that soak, but this is where Dahaka comes into his own. Yeah, after that huge push down bot lane, it took Penta like 2 seconds to get back into lane with that burrow. That's the value that he can bring when you've got that dedicated solo laner. So really, yes, Hiccup was pushing, but it's not going to get a huge experience advantage off that.
Immortal phase does spawn in 5 seconds, and the entire team deciding to go straight for that rotation, so we're not going to split one member off. As a unit, let's go do this. The Immortal is on our side. We should be quite safe in defending this. It's really the first one to join the party, the first one to rock up and force the effort, if you will. And this is really NMD's chance to try and force a fight. Level 10 is still a half level lead away. They need to try and execute. They need to find an opportunity and just go straight for it.
Oh, I'm worried about these fights now going forward. So they just need 10 to really unlock the potential of their combo on the side of NMD.
Hiccup is in the back line, looking to try and go for that defense. The front line is split from the back line. Self-destruct, targeting that back line. Ninja's going to go for a one-on-one against Sorelli. He is not going to get it! Oh, he does at the very last second, the final tick of Hungering Arrow, but they do a one-for-one trade as Romeo and Juliet all over again, but Heroes of the Storm eat your heart out. Right now, a one-for-one, but the fight could have surely been more. It's enough for Ethereal to threaten, given they have level 10 just picked up now. They can go straight in, and they can get that Immortal phase done in phase 1.
I mean, it was a nice fight by NMD, but really they were trying to struggle. When they saw a kill against Greatness, Luminum was there to back them up, Detainment Strike, finding so much value. And now it comes down to, we're not able to use the race. We have 10. They need to probably let this one go. Yes, they can try get some damage down on the shield, but they need to have members soaking that experience. They need 10 ASAP.
Well, they're going to do what they did last time, Bandy. You said they have a lot of racing potential, and absolutely they do. Combined between this roster, they can do as much as possible to reduce the Immortal shield. And this next one is going to spawn in the top lane. Damage control really is the name of the game here. They're going to hit level 9, but they still a full level lead off that 10. The all-important ultimate ability. And they can't afford to have staggered deaths. They can't afford to lose any members, so they need to get that 5v5. Much like last game, they were down in the early game. they did manage to bring it back. The benefit of Eternity is a map that can suddenly really creep out of control.
Yep, it does unlock the potential for a snowball, especially if you're not able to get any damage done on the Immortal, because the shield is just bigger. And it looks like this fort, yeah, they're playing passively, which they need to do. It's good. They don't want to lose anybody, but I think they're going to have to trade this fort. The Immortal's still quite healthy. The shield hasn't even been burnt yet, and they cannot go and venture out. But Huck's doing his best, just making sure every time Moonfire is up, he's using it, spamming it.
Absolutely. At the very least, they should just concede this front wall as well. Yes, it's not advantageous. It's not the best situation, but you can't afford to lose any more members because, like, they need level 10. At this rate, level 13 will be picked up by Ethereal, and then you're in even more trouble.
But do you see as well? So we've got the whole time Penta being in that bot lane. So this is where it's just so. Oh, look at this.
Wrath of the Berserker. It is Mosh, but they're going to try and force the fight. Burrow's going to come in from the back line. Oh, Hiccup is gone before anything can even happen. Twilight Dream is there. But the main bruiser for that front line is taken out of the fight. Self-destruct, can it be used? Aegis is popped. No chance for the Mosh to find any value this time. Self-destruct zoning the final 3 members. And Hiccup, MIA is going to be chased on down. Greatness looking for that 1v1. There's no way for him to juke this, or is there? Power Slide coming up just in the nick of time, and it does deny the orb securing the kill, but 13 is on the doorstep, and once again it's back to that turtle game.
Oh, I like what NMD were trying to do. This was probably going to be the closest fight that they could have had in a while because 13 had not yet been acquired. They're still hunting though.
Still hunting, still looking. Hiccup is back there trying to spin to win. 10 seconds on that Wrath of the Berserker, but the only ultimate they have in the bank is that Reign of Vengeance. And you're right, Vandy, adaptation was not taken. It was isolation, so you have to imagine it's going to go straight into the Sonya and do a repeat of that fight every single time.
Yeah, essentially she's going to be blinded. She doesn't know where her team is. It's a rough spot to be in.
Oh my god, that is dirty. Physics down to 50 health right off the bat there. Dimensional shift had to be used. They're looking for that frontliner once again. They're going to try and take out Ninja. He gets detained into the wall. He's just gone in a heartbeat too. Picked and pocketed. Arcane Orb nearly getting the kill, but max range secures the deal. 2 are gone out, and the level 13 Vantage really coming into its own.
Did you see that isolation onto Ninja? And then when he was being slowed, because as you know, isolation, it slows as well as silences them. So he wasn't even able to vault out. And then, my god, the Detainment Strike was a beautiful follow-up by Aluminum. So Ethereal are dictating this. They are taking no prisoners this game, Skimmy.
Yeah, it's all about reactiveness right now for NMD. They had to keep clearing these lanes, keep playing based on what Ethereal are doing, and it's kind of awkward because they are, technically speaking, the comp they drafted are the ones that should be leading the fights, should be the ones forcing the objective. And you can see they're trying to do that, but when they're at such a significant disadvantage, they're always taking so many, if not casualties, so much poke and damage before the fight can even successfully be carried out. And this is not the best case situation right now. 14 to 11, Shamans are being picked up in the top lane. Hiccup is still having to deal with the Khazra. But they're being jumped upon in this bot lane, Benny. They're looking for the engage onto Hux. Twilight Dream in the back line there. Negates 2 frontliners. Reign of Vengeance has been popped, but it's not going to achieve much. Hiccup comes in for the backline flank. Can he do anything? Aegis is popped. 4 members locked down, so little health. Can they get the kill? They do. Cassie the first to fall. Burrow on Penta. He's the second to fall. It's not without a trade, though. ETC was taken out in the same sentiment. And Hux, oh, he just jukes death by the skin of his teeth. They need to run away. Physics. The dimensional shift was huge, but is it enough? Boost comes to the face. And surely he has gone. Hiccup. He's going to try and get the trade. He does onto Li Ming. This is such a scrappy team fight. But somehow, some way, NMD get the better of it. And that's what they exactly need to do.
Oh god, the burst from Sonya when you couple Wrath of the Berserker with Poison Spear, we saw Touch Me instantly drop Aegis being responded to, so a lot was being burnt really early into that team fight, and yeah, it was the scrappiest of fights. But the longer a fight goes, I'd say it would be more advantageous for NMD because of the double support, and especially because they did focus Luminum as well.
Hold the phone, Vandy. Hux is going to be dragged in there, but it doesn't actually matter. There was no follow-up there for Penta. This is the first time that NMD can actually look to threaten the Immortal. Theirs has taken no damage. If they pick this one up, that's an insanely strong shield.
I also need to touch, while that fight was going on, NMD made the call to let go of their top keep to the Shaman camp that was pushing.
And the MIA is going to be caught out here, but it's not without Hux being caught as well. Twilight Dream can't even go off. He's dead before anything can happen. A 4v5 right off the bat, and now once again the team is split from NMD. Ninja and Hiccup down in the bot lane. The rest of the team taking the flank on the left-hand side. Spin to win. Can it get any value? MIA is looking for it. He doesn't have mosh pit for 20 seconds. Penta with the Lambo spinning around, trying to get his fast and furious act on, but Hiccup still doing whatever he can. He was 1v4ing Vandy. He feels bad, man. Ninja trying to get the cleanup. He just can't. And Li Ming getting the resets, getting the pop off. He has no mana, only 40 to his name. He has no rotation left, but it's all that they need.
Sarah Lee, this is Diva at her finest, just being a jerk, for lack of anything. We could see how much NMD wanted that Immortal. They were fighting tooth and nail for it, but it's just could not manage to secure it.
Yeah, it seems to be that Ethereal are working as a unit. I mean, it sounds obvious, but there is a 5-man stack. You can see the positioning. They're stuck together. They are playing around on their carries, whereas it seems like a little bit of desperation really starting to come out here from NMD right now. Hiccup, for the most part, these last 2 fights has been a man on a mission trying to 1v4. He has the Ren of... the Wrath of the Berserker. Ren of Vengeance is available right now. They're going to go for the all-in defense. It's not going to be enough. Immortal Face has been collapsed, but look at the damage! The Ancient Spirit and Greatness dropped to half in an instant. The Haku is the first with the 4-bar Hux in that back line. There's no way he can get up. He needs to use that regrowth on himself. Sorelli out of that mech. The next one to 4. Beautiful stuff right now. This is what they need. This means that this Immortal can find little to no value and easy defense. That's exactly what they need, given they're not 16 yet.
So we can see Sonya really starting to scale up into that late game. She becomes an absolute monster, especially to that squishy backline. She just gets so much sustain. So if NMD can continue to hold on, if they do not lose any more of their base, there is a good chance that the next Immortal fight could be theirs.
And that's what they need to do every single time, because right now, Li Ming has been given so much breathing room in these orbs. Given it is that dirty orb build, is finding insane amount of value, and they just cannot sustain for it all. The fights are being dictated by this initial poke that starts up this fight, and the kill engage comp doesn't have enough sustain left in the bank to actually force those aggressive engages that they are looking for. But Kazrael picked up in the spot lane. It's going to give them a little bit of breathing room. We are now, for the first time, on an even talent footing. Dahaka is so deep on his own. He doesn't have the adaptation. Aegis has to be burnt. Rain of Vengeance is used, and Twilight Dream making sure that he's the first one to fall. This is a good team fight, and this could be enough for them, but look at that.
Oh my god. Oh my god, if MIA fell then, it would have given the resets to greatness. That could have been so scary. Kazra almost acting like the 6th member of the squad there. But yeah, I don't know, like with what was Penta doing? He was acting as though he had adaptation, which would have made sense, but you don't. You have isolation. You were so far out.
Yeah, maybe I think it's a little bit of overconfidence coming out of them right now. They're thinking, hey, look, we've been the aggressive ones all game, but when you bring it back to that draft, they're the ones that have the counter-engage. That's where their strength really lies into it. But because the early game works so much in their favor, a little bit of overestimation of their true power. I mean, they've got that keep in the top lane already destroyed. Just play the slow game.
Yeah, essentially that's all they really need to do, and I love that steal there by MIA. So NMD happy to start forcing their way in. They do know that they've got the mosh pit. They can make some plays with that. They will be aggressive when we see that is off cooldown.
They are going to get a siege in this top lane. Next Immortal phase spawning in 5 seconds. This is when we need to see it happen. The quest has been completed by the Valor, and this is really when it starts to get disgusting. This is really when you can win those races in a heartbeat. Can they pick up an Immortal? Can they secure themselves that mid to late game fight that got them back into contention like last game on Sky Temple? But can they actually close things out and take this to a full best of 3? It's currently 1-0, and that is in favor of Ethereal. Oh, look at the instant interruption, the face melt of gods. There goes the power slide instantly into a root. Burrow charge is used, the heal comes out. Can't find the kill right here, but Hiccup on the side once again looking for that flank. It's going to be onto Diva. Not the ideal target, but he needs to jump that backline. He needs to get onto that Li Ming.
Both teams at a bit of a standstill now, but look at how much the Immortal showed it at that point. But here we go.
Self-destruct in the middle of the wildy. Look at that, getting insane amount of value. Is it going to collapse into anybody? Penta with the Burrow charge once again, making sure that he cannot be jumped upon. Twilight Dream in the backline. This is now or never. Can they get the kill? Rain of Vengeance get the first ones onto Cassia. It's a triple kill with both Dahaka and Oriel going down as well. It's only Greatness and Sorelli left to defend, and this is beautiful. There is no way for them to defend this now, Vandy. 40-second respawn timers.
That fight was just so everywhere. I just saw MIA at one point, just like at their doorstep, just being like, hello, I'm on the wrong side of the map currently, but it's okay, I'm ETC. Like, the self-destruct displacement was insane.
This is a really strong Immortal, Vandy. 18 minutes in, it's got a 35,000 health pool shield. Gives them some breathing room. Hiccup will need to deal with this insane wave in the top lane, which is threatening to go towards their core. But with this, they can now get a really good push on the bot lane, and potentially, if they find some more kills, get a keep of their own, and even the balance out like last time.
Yep, get those structures going and really start to get that experience rolling in their favor now, because they are postured to be the first ones to 20, and that's when Sonya then unlocks, I'd like to say, like, ultimate form, like, you know, Dragon Ball Z when they evolve, because Nerves of Steel's been taken out, but next power's back to 20.
Becomes Goku, becomes Super Saiyan.
Yeah,
He's
Super
been practicing
Saiyan.
this hyperbolic chamber all game, saying, look, we're not giving you our full strength. We just want to make this game interesting, not only for the viewers, but for the casters. It's emotional Heroes of the Storm right here.
Aww. Getting a bit emotional there, are we? Just teasing, of course, but look at this. Immortal's still quite healthy, got the shield, means he's going to do ranged attacks.
Yep. It's now going to be coming in now. It's all on greatness to keep using these big orbs. They've been doing so much work all game. You can see the crucial targets are dropped low. Hiccup going for the Ancient Spear, but it does not connect on the target that they need to do. Keeper's being worked upon. This single-handedly is going to be taken on down by the Immortal. It's looking like the mosh pits in the backline is going to be dragged into the team. MI has already used that face melt as well as that power slide. Self-destruct, not going to find any value. This is really good.
So close to 20. 20's been picked up. Oh, Skibby. 20's been unlocked. They could force a fight now.
20 has been unlocked. Keeper's there. Look at that Diva gone. This is huge. Bolt straight into the fight of things. Twilight Dream. Can they get the mosh pit? They can't because it's already been used. Aegis in the backline preventing. Ice Block as well. Rain Adventure trying to take out Luminen. They are looking for this core. They're all dangerously low. But the thing is, Greatness has no mana. He has no mana, but the well is right there. He can go straight back into that fountain. He can rejuvenate his health. And this is NMD being conflicted. Do we go in? Do we go out? They decide to back away, and rightly so.
All cooldowns have been blown. I mean, they did get the pick on D.Va. The death will be staggered. They can now grab all the camps, start painting the map blue. And they did not want to throw. I mean, that was a good call right there because of how healthy the team members of Ethereal were and just how much clear they've got as well to their name. So with no minions, you're tanking those core shots.
It's conflicting, right? They have the 20 advantage. They want to utilize it, but D.Va being taken off the board isn't the end of the world. If they've taken out a carry, if they've taken out Cassia, or for the better part, if they've taken out Li Ming, absolutely go for that core, commit, all in. But right now they have to utilize that 20 to go for the split push.
Correct, indeed. And what this does allow, though, is for Ethereal to, once again, stall it out. As long as no other members fall, they can stall it out. They can get 20. Immortal is not yet up, but he heard his name. The Angels are getting ready.
Angels are indeed getting ready, but the one big talking point that Ethereal have over their counterparts right now is this man in the bot lane. Penta onto Haka will have that global advantage. That's one thing they can actually utilize to their advantage when clearing out these cannon minions, because every single time it is forcing, if not Sonya, somebody else in the team with little to no mobility, and as soon as that 4v5 is recognized, the fights can really start to work in their favor.
They're trying their best to get 20 as well. Every camp that they get the chance of getting... Sorry, every minion wave that they get the chance of clearing out, they're doing it. But look at this.
This is a really interesting trade, Vandy. I don't agree with this at all. They're going to go for the Khazret in exchange for phase 1.
They can't because they don't want to do the 20 fight. So I get they're in a really sticky situation. So Khazret camp, they're just hoping it's going to give them enough experience. They're just trying to stall as best they can.
Oh, Mosh Pit was used! Completely baited out there. That is huge. That is absolutely huge. Wrath of the Berserker is down for 50 seconds as well, where every ultimate is available for Ethereal, and they're punching on in. They are walking straight into this one. Burrow has been used. Root is on top of that. Hiccup in the front line, still got that Wrath form unlocked. He is punching on down. 1v4 right now. Hardened Shield or Ignore Pain is in there. It is negating a lot of this damage, but Sorelli getting almost 2-shot there by Hiccup. The poison is ticking. He's sure to die. Touch Me is in the backline down to 150. He can't do anything. The damage, the sustain, it is too much. Too much of the pressure put on Greatness. The orbs suddenly aren't enough, and they get an insanely strong Immortal to close this game out with.
God, the ignore pain. This is why Sonya gets to a monster. We always talk about the late game potential of heroes. You know, Nazebo, if he's going for stacks, Vile Infection. But Sonya, 16-20 is where she becomes really goddamn scary. Nerves of Steel, coupled with ignore pain, just make her so tanky. And really, her backline just gets horribly threatened because she's just taking no damage. And she can get in Li Ming's face. So that completely negates what the Orb build was doing.
Andy, we're going to a game number 3. These games are being close all day long. And I believe we will be having a break before we jump to that third and final set. But Nomia, poor old Nomia, they've had their games quick and sharp. They're in that final bracket already sort of waiting for their opponent. But these games in the other end of the bracket have been going the full mile. What did you guys think there, Disconcur and Vandy, or Disconcur and Geo Phoenix?
I thought, what a back and forward game. Like that was I think
Ethereal controlled that for so long. You were mentioning greatness and the Li Ming and just how much he was just pushing away NMD with the amount of poke. But we can't really understate just how much the Cassia was doing in that early game as well, because even though the Li Ming was doing very good early on, the Cassia was just like not even harassed. It was doing so much work. But once we saw later on, once NMD was starting to get some of those fights, they were really putting the pressure down onto the damage dealers of Ethereal. We saw the fight start to turn, and you saw Hiccup on that Sonya. He was a man possessed. He just wanted to just. He was on a mission.
I sort of felt this in the first game, and even though we didn't see NMD win the first game, I really feel like they take a bit of time to warm up in the matches. Now they are, that time they were playing a bit more of a late game composition. Once Sonya gets 16 and she gets her Nerves of Steel, she's very hard to kill. And you saw as the game progressed, she got harder and harder and harder to kill on the side of NMD, and that's kind of what started to win their fights. They couldn't get her down. She was doing way too much damage. We saw Ethereal very happy to stack or stand next to each other, which gave her more value for a Whirlwind, more sustain, more life. And I really feel that's kind of I almost want to say it again. Okay, going to be the bad guy again. I almost want to say it again. It's another game of mistakes, but the teams capitalized on their mistakes. But this time it went in the favor of NMD winning out when the mistakes were made.
One thing I would want to say, as much as we joke about Malfurion and how he is now, I will say that at level 20, the upgrade to Twilight Dream and the Blink In, he was getting so much value out of those Twilight Dreams. The force, how long is it? It's a 4-second silence at level 20 when you take that upgrade. And we saw in those late game fights, when the Oriole is like completely locked out from doing anything, those fights just fell apart. Like, as much as we joke about the Malfurion and he's nerfed and it's like, he's kind of a bit of a dead pick, but
yeah,
the amount of value out of those Twilight Dreams, it was silly.
I was reading the chat actually at the same time during the casting, people saying, Mouth doesn't have cleanse, he's broken, he's rubbish now, so why would you sort of like picking him? But the mosh pits overlapped with the Twilight Dream. Like, you saw those major moments when both Penta and Swilly got in the front line, tried to force that objective and give them a little bit of breathing room to work from behind with the likes of the Castor and Li Ming. The Twilight Dream just came out and they said, cool, we can just turn around and we can kill you. And like every single fight, I mean, Sonya was just picking team fight after team fight. Says, I don't like 1v1s. I'm all about that 1v4 life. I want to spin to win. I want to get in your face. I want to sustain. If I die, at least 4 of you are committed to me, so my team should be able to actually win that fight.
Yeah, ask those questions.
We don't want the 1v1. Give me more people so I can sustain more.
Yeah, more people, more sustain. But don't bring the ones with CC. Keep those out of there.
Oh, wow.
All right, so you guys are getting into the next game. See, I can't believe that so far all of our games have gone to 3 games today.
It's been a bit of a long one already.
And like we have to shout out to poor Ethereal here. Ethereal have played back-to-back games.
Yeah.
All 3 series. It's just turned 2 p.m. Sydney time, 12:30. Well, about 12:30, 2:30. And all they've done all day, they've played 6 massive games of HOTS. Not easy games. Quite stressful. Quite on the edge of their seat games.
Like the game 3. in the first series against No Warriors, it was on this map. It was on Tomb of the Spider Queen, which we will be seeing next. And they had their core down to about 20%. Still came back from it.
It's good games. Now, these guys are good games all day. Ethereal playing very well. But obviously, NMD they took it out on that last map. And this is a big game for both teams as well. The winner of this game goes through to play Nomia in the upper bracket finals.
Jesus.
What a thing to have on the back of your mind as well. But I mean, there's two consolations here. If you somehow beat Nomia, you're in. You go through the championships. You're done. You have won today on some level. If you lose to Nomia, you go down to the lower bracket final. You get to play a second chance game to get back in to the championships next weekend. So it's a big set of games coming up for the winner of this round. In fact, the winner of this round has a huge series of best of threes, like just best of threes now, best of threes next game, best of three in the finals. It's big.
Potential to be an incredibly long day.
Yeah. But they're in such a winning this game puts you in such a advantage for the rest of the day, for the rest of the series. You get to play Nomia, you beat Nomia, you go through. But here we are, guys. It's Tomb of the Spider Queen. We'll leave it to you, Skimmy and Vandy.
Indeed. Tomb of the Spider Queen, it dictated best of three round number 1. It's going to come to round number 2 as well, as to who can really pick up the pieces. But given that first pick was for NMD last time, it goes back to the boys of Ethereal. And I have to wonder if we're going to see this sort of same archetype once again, dive versus defense, if there are more pocket strats, if Azmodan will be let through this time, Vandy.
Oh, if not Azmodan, they did show that they were listening to us on some extent and quite happy to run with the Nazeeba, who can be quite lovely on this map. Good wave clear. And the wall of zombies, but Nazeeba can be so good on this map. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Ethereal picking him up if Azmodan is banned.
Nubrag is going to be the first choice here, taken off the board. Nubrag is always a good response to the Azmodan. Put him in the web wrap, and no dunks will be had in there. He just has a bit of a frustration moment, a bit of a tantrum in the web.
Yeah, I often wonder what heroes are doing in there. I love that the sound effects get like a little bit muted when you're in the wrap. It just makes it so real. I'm like, wow, I'm in the cocoon.
He's been put to detention. He's being put out in the naughty corner, the timeout zone.
Yeah. Oh, finally, we're seeing that D.Va being removed from play. Sarah Lee, I mean, I have seen him go on heroes such as Ragnaros as well and do quite lovely. I think Ragnaros as well could be a high contender pick of Ethereal to pick. And will we see another Sonya as well? Because she was quite pivotal in getting that win over Ethereal in the previous game.
What I'm really interested about is how they respond. So right now we've seen a lot of these Valor compositions where it's all about the Holy Trinity, all about amplifying that one player. The responses seem to be, let's pick poke or let's pick anti-dive. So the Cassia and Li Ming, how do they decide to respect those picks? They say, go for it. We don't actually mind at all. We've taken out your D.Va. That's all we were scared of. Or do they decide to do denial picks by taking it themselves? A few different mentalities and strategies they can deploy here. I think if Genji is available, wouldn't be too opposed to seeing Genji and Li Ming paired together for the double reset, as long as they have some good wave clear to back it up. It's all based on that micro play, and it's all based on that sort of outplaying potential.
Yeah, I mean, we were touching on Genji just not being a hot pick on a map like this, but when you do have the comms on a map like this, especially if you're going for that reset potential, could be quite nice, especially because you can get those rotations by forcing picks.
So the Oriel is going to be the first pick here. They're going to start things off nice and clear, and it basically sets the tone that, hey, we know you want to go Valor. You've done it every single game so far. And we're going to deny it away from you. It worked out for us last game. Yes, the game was rather close, but we're going to make sure that this time you have no chance of sweating it up with a double dream combo between Nat and Tassadar. Really, I suppose it's on NMD to decide where they want to go with things. Do they want to go for that Genji? Do they want to lock in a Dahaka? Dahaka finds a lot of value on this map as well. And yes, it is always a talking point, Vandy, about, globals on a small map. That seems a little bit ridiculous. But Dahaka, with the Ferrari boost between top and mid, he just becomes insane.
You can't clock this Lambo, essentially, is what happens. And Luminum has shown that he is really enjoying Oriel. He's so comfortable on that hero. So no surprises even by picking up Oriole first, and it opens them up to pairing with Gul'dan.
Varian in a first rotation.
That's interesting to me, Skimmy, for many reasons, because generally Varian, we've never seen him be that first pick, but NMD have shown that they do quite like this hero. I believe it was them, correct me if I'm wrong, but they also did something similar. They picked Varian quite early up, and we had a bit of a discussion on it, but it actually worked out quite well. Level Taunt was acquired, and then things started to happen, because it's such a small map.
So by them picking up the Variant here, yes, he is a weak early game hero, so he wants to unlock that level 10. He wants to get that taunt. Generally speaking, you want to pair the taunt with some burst potential, hence why the coin term was between him and Greymane. You have the curse bullet for the taunt. That person just dies in an instant. By taking the Valor, suggests to me we don't want you to have that ideal pairing between Nat and Oriole. I wouldn't be surprised if later in this drop they actually pick up the Greymane as well and just go for a double comp.
Yeah, definitely. So Sylvanas, Genji being picked up. Sylvanas can be a battery for Oriole to some extent, and also push so hard if you do get the web weavers, can make the difference from just getting that front wall to getting the fort in just a single push. And Genji, high reset value, especially on a Valor. Going to really have his work cut out for him, though, with Varian. So I'd like to see out of Ethereal a comp come that can really punish this early game weakness, because Varian is seriously a sitting duck until level taunt. He just struggles. He doesn't really have wave clear. He can kind of gank, but not as well as Diablo. His lockup just isn't enough until he gets taunt.
We consider gone for Sylvanas and Genji. So Sylvanas does definitely give you that early game potential, gives you that wave clear, which you much need. It gives you Genji for the pick potential. But then if you think about it in another aspect, if they do go for something like Leoric, because he's a strong power pick on this map, the Entomb is completely negated by both of those heroes' mobility.
Correct. And that can be a very scary thing. So that is also something that we did not yet touch on. So mobility can be so key on a map like this. So I like that Dahaka ban. Very, very strategic. Means that Ethereal cannot pick him up from themselves. And Ethereal now, if they were looking Varian Valor, are we going to see a Tassadar ban? Or do they say, we don't care about the Tassadar. Go ahead, do your Trinity. It's not going to be proper. We have the battery, but do a variation of it. Do your worst. Or will it be an Uther ban?
Yeah, Tassadar, just too strong.
And then I don't think they're going to run dual support, but it means Uther is available if NMD would like to pick him up. So keep that Valor safe. And also, even if Varian, say if he bites off more than he can chew, not likely. He's got protected with that parry, so shouldn't really need it, but could then bail him out with the Divine Shield.
It's actually so interesting, Vandy, to see the adaptation in this draft and what the sort of little tells from these picks and bans actually mean. If you look at it, Diva and Dahaka, both the heroes that Ethereal have been playing in games 1 and 2, causing a lot of issues in that front line, being so frustrating to deal with, not aggressively, generally speaking, for the most part, but on that sort of defensive angle. But yeah, Varian, it gets shut down so much. You've got the burrow, you've got the second health bar. You can see that they're saying, look, our comp is all built around this Varian. We just find that one pick, almost a bit like Stitches, where he's looking for that hook attempt. The one taunt can seal the deal in that decisive team fight. They are going to go for the mouth. They are going to go for the Zarya as well. You have to imagine this final pick is a flex between either Greymane or some extra CC like Kel'Thas.
Greymane, KT could slot in. I was even thinking a Ragnaros would open them up to too much, I think, melee, but if they would like a Nazebo, could fit in quite well to finish off NMD's comp. But on the side of Ethereal, I like that they've picked up a Rodent, so they've got their front line now, and then they can set some kills up early. I'm just thinking, what would they want to pair off nicely? Some more Siege. A Greymane could work nicely on their comp too. It's a buddy to go in with Genji. They really play off each other, and he's got the wave clear.
I'd like to see some extra wave clear from a frontliner, to be quite honest. I wouldn't mind seeing a Leoric.
Oh, Leoric could slot in nicely here, especially because there is a Varian, there is a Zarya.
It means you lock in the Varian, you lock in the Valor, you lock in every single hero.
You've got Entomb as well to work with, which can be so detrimental to a Valor.
They go for the Kel'Thas, so they're actually going to deny it away. They're going to go for a triple backline, which is not greedy, but it's just not really seen too much. If Mirrodin gets shredded on down, your backline is completely exposed. This is like a confidence play.
It is confidence. KT, once again as well, has quite lovely late game potential. We saw him doing so much work when you all get grouped up. can be quite punishing in that regards, but Muradin is going to be between them and the squishies, essentially. So he's going to have his work cut out for him.
I want him to go Greymane. Lock it in.
Greymane's good, because Greymane would mean that they can shred the Muradin and then get straight to that back line if they pick up the Curse Bullet. Let's see.
Else?
It's going down to the wire. They're definitely considering all their options, all their possibilities. Not
the only other
rushing
option
into
I can really consider would be the Gul'dan. You can get the Horrify and turn on top of the root, so when Muradin and Genji jump in, you can split them up completely. Go Expulsion Zone as well to lock targets in.
But if you go Gul'dan, it's a bit greedy because you're taking away the healing from Valor because you can only heal one target at a time.
They go for Fausted. So they utilize the global pressure to a degree, but I guess really it's all about the Fausted Gust, the displacement factor. If they can get those greedy backliners into an open exposed space, there's a taunt, there's a root, there's an expulsion zone, there's a rain adventures, there's 4 different types of major CC components to follow up the slow from the Gust, which puts you in an interesting predicament. But here we go, Vandy. Game number 3. This is do or die, much like round number 1. Round number 2 is going down to the wire. It's on Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Lovely. And a special shout out to Ethereal. We know you guys have played. This is going to be your 6th game straight without any break. There will be a break after this set, but just a shout out for just hanging in there. And we know how stressful these games can be. Everybody wants to win. Yeah, let's see what they've got. Do they have enough in the tank now, Skimmy? Because we always touch on things as well. You can get fatigue as well. You yourself have experienced it, you know, being in the X5 days and that mentality of just, you really want to get that. But I think they'll be awake for this one. The adrenaline would be pumping, surely.
I mean, when you play these events, by the time you've been like 8-9 hours in, yeah, you're exhausted. There's no time for preparation. There's no time for thinking up strategies on the fly. That's what you've done all beforehand. You're relying fully on that. It's all about keeping up that attention with energy drinks, coffee, whatever it might be, making sure that you can still make those right decisions, those right shot calls. But here we go, guys. Game number 3. And on the left-hand side, this is Team NMD. Hiccup, this time will be the one playing Valor. Hux, once again on Malfurion. Ninja flexing on Fausted. MIA on Varian. And Physics is on Zarya.
And still rocking the beautiful red, we've got Team Ethereal, Touch Me on Kael'thas, Luminum on Oriole, Sarah Lee playing Genji, Penta on Muradin, and Greatness playing Sylvanas.
One thing I want to touch on, Vandy, is there's not really much of a priority on Uther.
Yeah, I think I saw something from Moops. Yeah, Moops was saying, why does no one... So Moops from Darksided, we've seen him just constantly hone in on that Uther. But it could just be teams perhaps just don't feel comfortable enough on him. They feel like perhaps he's lacking heals. I myself don't like playing Uther. I know how strong he is, but that guy is a bit challenging for my my limited support set. Because every heal that you do, his cooldowns are so long and his mana pool, everything costs so much. So you really have to make it count. Yeah.
Everything has to be impactful.
Yeah.
And that's a reason that a lot of people like it as well, because you can definitely distinguish between the good players and the bad players, and the ones that can play it well will definitely, on their own, single-handedly carry that game. But Physics, once again, he's not on Tesla, but he's on another hero that can dish out the shields. He's loving to play that sort of support flex role. What I'm really wanting to talk about, though, Vandy, is given that Ethereal have that double backline, or that triple backline, I should say, a lot of it's on the pressure to see how well they can sustain. He's gone for Convection on Kael'thas, so even more solidifying that they feel extremely confident in this one, but it's so easy to punish.
Oh, that's what I'd be worried about. But let's see Ethereal capitalize on that, denying the late game. So let's see that if they can get the snowball rolling in their favor with that Sylvanas, as you said, great potential. And if they can deny NMD from ever having a turn in, it could be a great story for them.
Ninja in the 1v1 up against Pent, who's on that rotation. Barrel is forced away. It's going to be 2 Lemurs in the bot lane right now as Greatness does respond, but Sreli does get the better of that trade. And the rotations between mid and top right now seem to be in favor of NMD. But you have to imagine that's the reason they can control us is because they have that beefier front line. Yeah,
having one tank, that's the only issue we saw with Ethereal's draft. They're just so squishy, so if you don't really have Mura there, say if Luminum gets low or he's not getting enough hope generated, it just means that you're at a disadvantage.
You can see Pent is actually respecting that a fair bit and has been for the most part, considering or if not actually threatening to gank bot and saying, look, we're not going to win this top lane rotation. I'll just go bot. If we could take out that component of the lane, not only do they lose soak, they lose XP, they lose the potential to actually achieve much in another lane. At least then we can find advantages.
Yeah, I love how hard Greatness is pushing up against Ninja as well. Ninja low on health, low on mana, perhaps needing a recall soon.
It's awkward though, because this is going to start a wave of people thinking that Sylvanas is a solo laner. It's not a thing. Don't do it. Sylvanas is a 4-man rotator, but in this circumstance, given the draft that they have where it is, to be honest, quite awkward, this is the best case in the worst scenario.
It is, and it's going to be about tying up that Falster, just keeping him busy while the rest can 4-man rotate around. She'll come and join the team if and when they get that all-important first turn in.
The rotations between mid and top being the focal point. 3 convection stacks on Qualifier. You can just see how threatened he is in these rotations. He's not able to actually go up and abuse that talent. And he's already running quite low on that depleted mana. One thing that he's wishing was, I wish Mouth was on my team. I can have that pocket innovate and I can spam it Flame Strike for days. But right now, that is not going to be the case. It's still about bouncing. It's still about acquiring those gems. And talking about gems, right now, Ethereal have 42 in the bank. They definitely have the advantage.
They do. Greatness now being forced out by Ninja, so showing when Falstad has his mana bar, it's a totally different story. So this is why you don't solo lane Sylvanas, but it's good to see that the rotation was instantly out by Penta to make sure no experience, no gems are being lost.
Oh, beautiful route on the backline untouched me there, but MIA was caught at the same time, so the trade was a bit of a stalemate. But both teams are still working towards those all-important level 7s. Once again, the Moonfire build is going to be deployed here, Vandy.
The Boomkin build. Is that your favorite build, Skimmy, or do you just like saying Boomkin? Because you always get a little bit excited.
You know, having a World of Warcraft background, everything's Boomkin.
Yeah, I mean, it brings back the glory days of WoW, your raids, but whoa!
That is a big gank in the bot lane. They lose a lot of gems as a result of that. They're just going to disappear in an instant. And because it's Sylvanas, they can punish really hard. And this is what I was talking about with Penta. They can't win that 4-man rotation, so he's just going to be a threat in the bot lane. Be a huge nuisance for the major part. And now it's a lot of XP that's denied, forcing Xayah to break up the 4-man.
He was doing those rotations. So what I saw before was Penta, he was down there with Greatness. He did manage to miss the stun, and then he must have rotated off, but just playing patient, waiting for Ninja to come out, and then bam! That was the successful game that Greatness was waiting for. And look at this as well in the mid lane now.
They're looking for more MIA in the front line. He has the shield wall. He's going to interrupt a lot of that damage. Beautiful timing on that cooldown, but it doesn't actually matter. Nothing can happen in this trade. Still keeping it even at a level 7. It's all about acquiring those gems once again. They need to make sure they can get the first hand and get the ball rolling, get the XP in their advantage. Because as soon as you get that first hand, and teams generally find themselves getting a 4-level advantage, and once that's in the bank, then hey, level 10 is that much closer, and that's when you can really start to unlock your true team potential.
Look at both teams. I love that they were trading the turn-in points. So we saw Ethereal had preferred the bottom one and NMD was preferring the top one. But this does mean that Ethereal gets the first turn-in without Sylvanas. Let's see how much value they can get out of it.
Dirty CC chain onto MIA there. But because it's Varian, he ignores all that damage. You can imagine if there's any other hero on this roster for NMD, they would have been a sitting duck and a dead duck at that once again. Still getting in the front of things. This is really good right now for NMD, given that they need that level 10 to unlock the true potential. Once Taunt is available, oh man, scary things are going to start happening to the squishy backline.
Oh, I don't want to hear about the scary things happening to the squishy backline.
Nightmares.
These are nightmares, yeah. Baron going in.
Oh, he actually gets locked down a lot of damage here, combined with the wave becoming the 6th member for Ethereal. They're going to push on through. Hux has no mana left in the tank. Oh, and as well as that, MIA is really low. They're actually split right now, Vandy. They're pushing in, they're utilising that Sylvanas Pashtas so well, but they're all incredibly low. The flight comes in from Ninja from the backline. This is a huge potential for a snipe, and the Boomerang does exactly that. Boom with the kill, make that a double kill. And they are a half level to level 10, and that completely negates any kind of pressure that Sylvanas could have got with those web weavers.
That was some good reactivity coming out from NMD. I love the rotate from Ninja, but really the little mini MVP for that fight was Physics coming out of the flank with basically about half an energy bar, so that's a bit of a scary Zarya. She's going to start doing some damage and has opted in for the grenade build by picking up Demolition Expert, pinpoint accuracy. It's going to start to hurt.
If you think about it in that regard, actually, they actually have triple backline as well, but the only difference being that, wait, Xayah technically is a tank, so there's a lot of damage to consider across this entire roster from both teams, but definitely from a tanking standpoint, NMD really threatened that in their regard. Level 10 has been picked up by them. It is the taunt, and it's everything else standard as you'd like to imagine. Level 10, not too far for the boys of Ethereal, and quite unlucky, to be honest. Convection stacks from last time I checked were up to 14, and they're all gone.
It is a bummer, isn't it? They were so confident in their play. I think almost forgetting that Ninja could fly in and do the flank push. That is Falstad at his finest. That's the plays he makes. So Rain, Twilight Dream, Mighty Gust, Taunt, yeah, Expulsion Zone. So quite standard across the board coming out from enemy.
They're going for it now, Bandy. They're going to go for it now, trying to force that 4v5. Ninja's not showing any signs of coming in just yet, but there comes the flight. In the back line, is the Gust going to be used? Not just yet. He doesn't have the best opportunity to use that. Wow, Genji just popping off there with the Dragon Blade. Reset after reset. Starts with a double kill. MIA trying to look for the final play, but the Aegis does prevent Sully from dropping. They do pick up Varian at the very last second, a triple kill, potentially even a quadra kill with physics down to 150, and too little too late, but the brakes, dearie me, they suddenly just went full throttle on the gas.
Sarah Lee popping off with that Dragon Blade. Genji, left, right, and center. Sarah Lee came out swinging. That is scary stuff. And I love the Wailing Arrow to initiate as well. It just helped them pick off Mouth so early into the fight. Really no reaction coming out. We can see how little of the heroics were burned on the side of NMD in response. They just didn't have a chance to use them.
Now, this is the big talking point. Because there's enough for the hand in, do they know that? They're going down mid. They seem a little bit closer. They've just seen that 47 have gone in. Surely they can respond to this. They're going to not be able to face second time. Enough time is being bought here to allow Greatness to hand those in. That would have been a big opportunity for them to force the fight with not only the ultimate advantage, but the ability to deny all those gems. But the time has been passed. The only thing that will really be a saving grace for them is they'll have level 13 a little bit closer.
So NMD, yeah, they are closer to 13 because of the advantage in experience they got from taking out the top and bottom fort. But this is going to be the responding push from Team Ethereal. So I don't think, if they've learned anything, they will be wary of that Falstad flank now.
You can see Ninja in the bot lane going to do great work here by utilizing Nick Web. He's going to clear out that web, that big web weaver in little to no time at all. But right now, it's all eyes on the mid lane. Taunt coming out on towards Mirrodin, not the best target to go for. CC Chain coming out to Varian to follow. And they're going to utilize that Sylvanas passive, making sure that that fort can do little to nothing to this web weaver. Damage has been done, XP has been acquired, keeps them in the running for the contention to hit that level 13 just on even in talent tier. But the backup, the instant disengage as soon as Falstad rocks up.
Really respecting it now, learning about it and making sure that they don't get caught up by it. And physics as well, having to use that expulsion zone. Didn't get much value out of it either, trying to just stop them from hitting the fort.
You can see that they're going to threaten this fort in the top lane as well. And MIA, he wants to get aggressive, but a little bit of indecisiveness, thinking, where does Falstad need to come into this? Gust comes out straight away, blast him into the back line. Oh, he jumps into a route. This is huge. Oriel gets the Aegis. Is that enough to get things started here? Surly is going to utilize that window of focus to try and jump into the back line and cause trouble. But Twilight Dream is huge. Interrupts all ideas he would have possibly had. He trades his life for it. Taunt comes out, secures the second kill as Oriel is the second one to drop on down. And that was explosive. That was a great play, actually, by Genji to try and exploit the tunnel vision, if you will. But Twilight Dream was right there and at the right time.
I loved what they were doing there, but really that expulsion zone, I said physics didn't get much value off the first expulsion zone. That one found some great value. It was knocking Sorelli around. I think also denying his escape route, and that's why he was stuck there for so long, right smack bang in the Twilight Dream. He just had nowhere else to go. Expulsion zone was keeping him locked up.
As a result of that team fight being successful for the boys in blue, it does now mean NMD can get their own web weavers working for them. Every single fort except mid lane survives. The opposite for Ethereal that still need to take down that bottom fort, but that one is already severely hampered. And this allows, once again, NMD to find themselves in a winning position. A half-level lead, as 14 has already been acquired. These towers will definitely start assisting them in that race to getting 16. And they are going to utilize that right now. Ultimates are still available. 10 seconds for the most impactful ones on the side of Ethereal. Let's see, they're going to go for that engagement. I would be hesitant to actually commit to this right now. Need that 10 seconds. Gust instantly comes out. Emma's got over ideas and he actually goes in for the charge. But, dearie me, Vandy, I mean, this is a case of playing off ultimates and sort of trying to bait out those key ones.
It was almost like Ethereal was playing with NMD's bluff, and in fact they did manage to do that because the Gust was burned as a response.
And these taunts keep coming out towards Penta, and this is what I mean about the whole Greymane combination. If you have the Greymane there, Penta, yeah, efficiently can be taken out. He's just going to jump in for a 1v5 saying, let's go team, let's punch on. It's not going to be the case. The team aren't there. Sylvanas was still clearing bot lane. but they are still in this running contest for 16. Those all important. Arguably 16 being the most impactful one after Ultimates in level 20, but still the fight breaks out. Taunt goes in, the Tamer Strike into the wall. It's a flexing of the tanks. They're trying to flank onto Ninja, who's going to drop the living bomb potentially into the whole team. Expulsion Zone had to be burnt there, and now surely they just have to back away.
Oh, here they go. Living bomb, Taunt.
Taunt does come out. He doesn't even care. Look at him. He just runs in like a wild man. Oh, Twilight Dream only finding value on towards Penta. But you're going to see that both teams are a bit like, do we want to fight? Not really too sure about this engagement here. And the tanks trying to really flex their might, saying we go to the gym 4 times a week. We can punch on. But the team like, yeah, probably not.
You guys just wait. Oh, look at this.
This is quick match. It's actually a quick match. The guys are fighting all day.
Oh, no.
He has no money. He has no health. He has no cooldowns. Valev's the second one to fall. Oh, this is the resets. These are the dirty moments right now. Sori's got in. He's done the damage. A double kill for a single kill. The invade pays off for the boys by Ethereal. And they'll be quite happy with themselves. Still in the running for level 16.
Good invade. I mean, this is where we see Penta fall. But that's what he wanted. All the damage they meant was getting dished down on him. All the important cooldowns were being burned on him. And what did that leave Ethereal to do? Push on and win that fight. So backline completely left untouched.
It's an awkward predicament. I mean, we've seen these taunts every single time coming out into this Mirrodin, but as these fights get later and later in, this is when not only does the damage of that triple backline start to really ramp up, but the death time is notably increased too. So if they can get those all-important picks, if they can find those moments, Sylvanas will slowly start to fade out. Once she's done the initial clearing of the XP with these forts all taken down, the only real way for them to find any more advantages is to actually get a clean team wipe and push a keep. We've seen what bosses can do in this map. I don't want to see that be the sort of defining moment of the series.
You can see both teams really respecting and not even thinking about that boss throw pit. Not until this is about the point that we can start to see death time as being impactful enough. So if we see a death in the top or mid lane at this point, it will be straight to boss. Guaranteed.
Seems to be that the winning condition right now for the side of NMD is if they can get a Twilight Dream on Sorelli, if they focus one target, the Aegis does seem to come out. And it comes out without hesitation whatsoever. Buys so much time, allows Sorelli to get into the front line and cause some issues. But if Twilight Dream is there, prevents his escape. He cannot Cyber Agility out. He can't Swift Strike out. He is in a world of pain, especially if that root connects or any other form of CC. So I would like to see them sort of value that a little bit more. ZMI every single time, trying to get in the front line, trying to be the aggressor. But Sorelli is definitely playing on that sort of attention focus.
Both teams trying to get that turn in. They're just trying to bank up enough gems. Expulsion Zone goes out.
Expulsion Zone does go out. They're going to try and force the fight here. Ninja's going to jump into the fight as well with the flight in. Looking for that 1v1. Reflex straight away is used. Penta's in the front line, causing a lot of trouble. He does have the healing static. But he had also for heavy impact, Vanny, so it's an interesting variation from the usual stone form.
It is interesting. I'm just looking now. I'm just seeing how much damage Varian has absorbed during these team fights, Skimmy. That is why Varian can be so good. So I'm just trying to see. On the side of Varian, he's absorbed 88k damage. And Penta's only absorbed 54k. So can you just... how much he's eating with that protected status?
Yeah, it's frustrating to verse, especially if you can get real into it and time it and coordinate it well with the basic attacks. You can be invulnerable for like 6 seconds onwards. It's pretty insane right now, but look at that. They're squeezing in gems by gems. Greatness needs to hand in one. He has one, and he does one.
There we go. The turn-in is out, and this could be the fight that they want. The fight that will then really allow them to unlock a keep, and that will get the pressure going for the rest of the map.
And they just have actually completed convection as well. 16 minutes into the game, and that power spike has finally, I'm sure, much to his relief, been acquired as well as the Web Weavers do. Now, Descent, we are even. This game is so close. The series, for the most part, has been extremely close as well. 17 apiece. There is no gap between them. And now, with Sylvanas looking to threaten a keep, surely this is a do-or-die moment.
Oh, I'm getting worried. This is where those fights mean so much. We can see Ninja just splitting. He tries to take down Web Weaver on his own, and then he goes and joins the team. But with how aggressive Ethereal seem to want to play it, they're just keeping an eye. I can see they're just making sure that they can see where Falstad is, and then if not, they're going to back up.
You see, they're not really wanting to fully commit to this one. I was going to say, one team fight would do it. One team wipe with the Sylvanas passive would ensure that they can just go for the core and end, especially with the respawn time as being as long as they are now. They're not going to risk it, Vandy. There's too much pressure on this one. They've been playing 6 games in a row without break. Tensions are high. The fight breaks out as the disengage goes on through. Aegis and Twilight Dream is huge in the backline. Is it enough right though? Penta's there, but Genji in the backline 1v3. He's trying to do as much as he can. Varian does drop, but Genji gets traded out too. Penta now looking for things, but Fausta got taken out as well, Vandy. One by one they fall. Oh, they're beautiful to demonstrate. But the shield from Physics is insanely well timed as well. Penta getting a huge stun with the heavy impact. They're chasing, Vandy. They are chasing all day long, but they just cannot deal with all the sustain that NMD still have in their roster. But that does open up the keep. Now that does give them a bit of breathing room.
This is the kill that they wanted, exactly as you forecasted, Skimmy. You get the kill. You can push on with that passive. And beautiful, they've done it. So that is going to... So catapults will now spawn. That means it's going to be constant pressure in the top lane, meaning that every extended fight, we're always going to see NMD checking their base, making sure that they're not taking unnecessary damage, or, you know, the catapults are starting to stack up and really start to do damage on that core.
Back away, so close to level 20, and they respect that. They need to unlock those talents before they can decide to do anything more. If I was on the side of NMD, I'd be thinking, are they on the boss? They are going to check. They realize that they're not. They actually fly and they fully commit to it as well. They don't have enough to hand in just yet. They need 5 more. There we go. They've got enough to go for a hand, and they need some breathing room. They need to buy some stalling tactics. Yes, the web weavers aren't the best when they're used in this regard, but you need to buy time so you can get 20.
Yeah, I see what they're trying to do. So they see that Ethereal is really on the board to 20, and then on the Ethereal side, they were like, we can force boss as soon as we get 20. So let's just try to bank up, get it. But I think, I'm not sure. Okay, so theoretically, if they prevented the turn-in, they could have gotten 20 off that if they gotten a kill anyway. Now they just have to sort of stall out, clear up the web weavers. But on the side of Ethereal as well, by doing this, the web weavers aren't getting a lot of, they're not getting a lot of value anyway. So yeah, it's just saving for the next turn-in that they can do.
You can see they're actually trying to pick Ninja in the bot lane. They're thinking, yep, he does have the global. He's probably going to try and do a rotate through. They're actually all waiting in the bush, but the boomerang was there, scouts him out there with the vision, and they are so close to level 20 right now. This backline, this triple backline of front-loaded damage is really causing them a problem. Fury of the Storm is the acquisition here for Sylvanas. Not going to opt for that Bolt of the Storm, wanting more on-demand burst. And then you've also got Shield of Hope, which is already being proven a problem with the Aegis. Now even more shielding and damage to try and burst through.
Oh, this game, it's that marathon scheming that you said, that slow burner, but then they sprint for a bit and then they're waiting now. This is where it can all be make or break. Both teams are 20, equal footing. Next fight can take boss, take a keep. We've got 1 keep now standing on the side of NMD, 3 healthy ones still standing on the side of Ethereal. So they're all really poised for the next fight.
I'm really excited, Van. We've got Wind Tunnel being picked up by Fausted, continuously knocking people back for 4 seconds in a row. We talked about displacement. We talked about why this Fausted pick could be so impactful for this draft alone. Not to mention it gives you boss control. So if boss is started and they try and go for a fight, 4 seconds and it's locked in. Hiccup's going to make the call. Sredi is going to go for the check. They know it's gone. They know this is what the condition is right now. Boss ends the game. And it does indeed. They're going to go for the taunt on towards Aegis. Oriel is going to be the focal target. There goes the wind tunnel, blocking people away. Can they get the follow-up though? They can't. That's not ideal whatsoever. And now the re-engage potential is absolutely huge for NMD. And Penta wastes no time whatsoever. NMD, Avatar, jump in. Let's force the fight. Can they get the kills when they matter? Ninja on the flank, looking for those carries. There's no Aegis. There's no Shield of Hope. They've got the Rain of Vengeance taking out crucial targets. But Penta is getting sweaty with 3-man stuns. Genji in the front line as well. And reset after reset. They all fall like men on the bridge. Disgusting! As Ninja tries to get 1 kill, he just can't do it. He's running away. And he's the only person left. And feels bad, man.
Oh my god, Luminum's so on point with his healing. Crazy. I can't believe Cyrilli lived, but this is it. Ethereal, they've got a nice wave pushed up now. They can go for the win, Skimmy. That was the fight that we were talking about. Wind Tunnel. I was so ready for it as well. I saw what they were trying to do, NMD very clever. But they panicked, I think, once they saw Cyrilli checking.
Yeah, they panicked, they used it straight away, and as soon as that was done, they're like, cool, we win. And they just went straight in, forced the fight with confidence. Straight in there about it. And wow, Ethereal, 2 back-to-back best of 3s. They are the marathon runners. They've done the gauntlet. They can get themselves a very well-deserved break after this one, but dearie me. We talked about them at the very start of the day. They're a team that are a bit like a roller coaster. They have their ups and their downs. But right now, consistency, even if they are long games, seems to really be their motto.
They are playing their hearts out today. So I think really they are really affronted by what they said. They're like, no, this is going to be our best performance. We want to qualify. We want to make it to the finals. They are pulling out all stops. They've executed their composition so well. Touch me on that Kael'thas. His positioning is so perfect. Often with the Kael'thas, you get the convection stacks. You can see them get quite aggressive in their positioning. He was always by Aluminum's side, letting Sarah Lee, letting Penta go in, and then Greatness as well, just chasing off any kills that need to be done. They really made their composition work.
Well, just concur, and Gio, Phoenix, you were watching the game just as much as we were. What did your thoughts and feelings about that game come to?
Well, that was... Well, I guess we can say about all the games is that, hey, it was a back-and-forth game until X happened, but that's pretty much how it goes. It was a bit of a slow burn, which is kind of apt considering the